fogs up my glasses.
Ready to begin?
Yes, I'm ready.
Good afternoon and welcome to today's committee hearing on environmental protection. At this time, place all electronic devices on vibrate or in silent mode. If you want to testify, please come to the Sergeant-at-Arms desk and fill out this testimony slip. If you want to submit testimony, you may do so at testimony@council.nyc.gov. Again, that is testimony@council.nyc.gov. Thank you. Chair, you may begin.
Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Jim Gennaro, Chair of the Committee on Environmental Protection, and today we'll be holding an oversight hearing examining our local air quality and hearing some legislative measures to improve it. The U.S. EPA sets regulations for 6 classes of commonly encountered airborne pollutants. These pollutants, known as the criteria pollutants, are particulate matter, ground level ozone, carbon monoxide, sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxides, and lead levels, and are regulated under both what are called primary standards, which aim to prevent deleterious effects to human health, and secondary standards, which are aimed at protecting the environment and property. Air quality data is plotted over a map of the various regions of the United States. Geographical areas where levels of specific pollutants exceed levels outlined in the Clean Air Act's regulations are said to be in non-attainment. As of December 6, 2022, New York City is considered to be in attainment for 5 of 6 criteria pollutants, with the exception of ozone, where the city is considered to be in moderate non-attainment. Despite the existence of detailed air quality regulations for a variety of air pollutants, exposure to pollutants and air toxics have been linked to a variety of adverse health outcomes, both physical and psychological. Elevated levels of airborne particulate matter have been linked to negative health outcomes, both mental and physical. Children are particularly vulnerable to the effects of exposure to airborne pollutants because they consume more air per unit of body size compared to adults and are more likely to be active outdoors during peak traffic hours and tend to play closer to the ground where particulate matter concentrations are highest, and because the membrane barriers in their respiratory tract are not fully developed. People living in environments with a high level of sulfate particles, I'm not going to give you the units, are more likely to have lung cancer compared to those living in a community with lower levels of sulfate particulate pollution. And positive correlations have been found between ambient concentrations of nitrous oxide and incidence of breast cancer in women. Takeaways is that air pollution is bad, clean air is good. So that's the summary of that. Let's talk about some of the bills that we're going to be hearing today. We have Intro 279, authored by the Majority Leader, Councilmember Powers, who joins us today, would amend the Administrative Code of the City of New York in relation to the purchase of zero-emission vehicles by the city. I have a lot more in my statement about that bill, but being that Councilmember Powers is here and is going to make a statement on it, I will defer to his description of the bill and what it does. Intro 606, authored by Councilmember Aviles. She's not here, right? Not here? Okay, so I'll talk about it. Intro 606, authored by Councilmember Aviles, would amend the Administrative Code of the City of New York in relation to motor vehicles idling near parks, green spaces, playgrounds, by requiring the NYPD, Parks Department, and Department of Sanitation to issue summonses, notices of violations, and/or appearance tickets to any motor vehicle idling for longer than 1 minute. The citywide standard is 3. This would reduce it to 1. This local law would take effect 90 days after it becomes law. Intro 612, authored by Councilmember Caban, who was with us today, would amend the New York City Charter in relation to monitoring power plant performance. Because she's here and she's going to make a statement on it, I will not read my comments on her bill, and I'll leave that to her as the author of the bill. Intro 684, authored by Councilmember Menon, to my left, would amend the Administrative Code of the City of New York by increasing civil penalties for drivers of buses and trucks who violate anti-idling provisions of the Air Pollution Control Code. Again, I have more in my statement about that, but Councilman Menon is here and will give a statement, and so we should hear that from her. Intro 707, authored second bill by Councilmember Aviles, would add 4 definitions to Title 24 of the Administrative Code, including, quote, heavy use thoroughfare, close quote. These are all quoted, okay. Including heavy use thoroughfare, recreational area, regulated air contaminant, and at-risk populations. The bill would require the installation of street-level air monitors along designated heavy-use thoroughfares and at every recreation area. It would also require the issuance of a report to the mayor and the Speaker of the Council regarding results of those monitoring efforts, including whether they indicate levels of regulated air contaminants in violation of standards. The bill would also require the DEP, the city DEP, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Education to develop and implement to develop and implement mitigation measures to exposure risks. Local law will take effect 90 days after it becomes law. So it's a monitoring bill, but there's also like a reporting thing that comes, okay, so we're not monitoring just to monitor, so there is an action piece to that bill. And so I'd like to thank the great committee staff who have done such great work over the years. To my right, we have committee counsel, Samara Swanson, policy analyst Ricky Chawla, financial analyst Andrew Lane Lawless, and finally my great legislative director, Nabi Kaur, for all of their hard work. Before I go to those members that have statements to talk about their bill, I just want to recognize that we're joined by council by Councilmember Menon, Councilmember Kagan. To my right, Councilmember Caban, Councilmember Holden, who joins us online. Good to see you, Bob, and our Majority Leader, Keith Powers. Did I get everybody? Okay, and with that, I'm going to defer to our Majority Leader to give his statement on Intro 279. I recognize the Majority Leader for a statement.
Thank you, Chair Gennaro. I'll try to keep it short so you can move on with your hearing, but and thank you, and thank you always for your leadership on these issues, which has been incredible and steadfast, and we deeply appreciate it. And thank you for an opportunity to speak about Intro 279, which we're hearing today, and I'm proud to sponsor along with my colleague, Councilmember Carolina Rivera, and 35 of our colleagues here in the City Council. I don't think I have to convince anyone here the effects of climate change that are already at our doorstep. From extreme temperatures to devastating storms, our communities are already feeling the impact, and that is particularly true for low-income communities of color and many communities like mine that are right on the waterfront. It's more urgent than ever that we take bold action to stem the tide of climate change and build a more sustainable future here for our families. Intro 279 would require the city to only purchase zero-emission vehicles starting in 2025 and transition the entire vehicle fleet by 2035, putting the city's goal of electrifying its fleet over 30,000 vehicles on the fast track. This will have a tangible and far-reaching impact on our carbon footprint, as motor vehicles make up 28% of our overall greenhouse gas emissions in New York City, according to the DEP. With this legislation, we can reduce harmful emissions, improve air quality for our communities, reduce spending in the long term, and set a strong precedent for communities across the country. I want to acknowledge and sincerely appreciate the hard work that both this and the previous administration have done to continue to do the transition to the city's fleet to electric vehicles, and without question, the goals that we're doing here are to codify those goals and ensure that we're meeting those public goals with urgency. We have been, in this city, we've been a global leader in the fight against climate change, and with this bill, we have the opportunity to hold ourselves accountable to our ambitious climate goals and act swiftly to protect our communities. By electrifying the city's fleet, we'll also be able to invest in infrastructure for the expansion of electric vehicles and make it easier for New Yorkers and private entities to make the switch to electric vehicles as well. And we know that's been a challenge already here in the city. New York City can and should be the forefront of efforts to fight climate change and build the foundations for a more sustainable future, and this bill is one part of making that happen. Thank you to our Chair, Gennaro, for his support of this bill, but for holding this hearing on my bill and a number of other ones, and giving me an opportunity to talk about this legislation. And I want to thank my fellow bill sponsors, committee staff, advocates, and my staff, Ben Jacobs and Haley Buttigieg in my office, for their work tirelessly on this issue. I look forward to hearing from the administration about how we can work together to successfully transition our city's fleet to zero-emission vehicles. And having read your testimony, I know we'll keep talking about ways to make sure that you guys can be in best compliance with that, and I look forward to having that conversation with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. Very happy for your leadership on this bill. I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of it. 17 years ago, I passed the first bill of this kind, but that was a long time ago, and that bill's kind of kaput at this point and needed re-energizing and to be, right-sized for the decade that we're in now, and I really thank the Majority Leader for doing that. With that said, I recognize Councilmember Menon, a valued member of this committee, to give her opening statement on, I'm going to say the bill number. Let me do it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Why don't you tell me what it is?
684.
Okay, on intro 684. I recognize Councilmember Menon for a statement.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair Gennaro, for holding this very important hearing on air quality and its impact on public health. New York City has one of the highest asthma rates in the country, and New York City, in fact, has the highest asthma rate of any city in New York State. So specifically, from 2017 to 2019, the New York State Department of Health reported for New Yorkers 17 and younger that the asthma hospitalization rate was 31 individuals per 10,000 New Yorkers. Children breathe in more air per pound than adults, and it's so important to make sure that they are not breathing in polluted air. That's why I'm proud to have intro number 684, which would both increase penalties for idling trucks and for buses. This bill, which has a supermajority of 38 council members co-sponsoring it, as well as the Manhattan Borough President, would take into account repeat violations as well. For a first-time offender, the violation would be between $1,000 and $2,000. For a second-time offender, it would be between $2,000 to $4,000. For 3 or more, it would be between $3,000 and $6,000. Idling vehicles are limited to a minute near a school and 3 minutes elsewhere. The current law applies a civil penalty between $350 and $2,000 for vehicles breaking the law. However, it does not take into account repeat violations. Companies such as Con Edison and Amazon, for example, frequently break the law, only to pay the exact same rate every single time. For example, from January 1st to November 30th of this year, Con Edison had 982 penalties imposed that totaled $392,000. Amazon had 958 penalties imposed that totaled $379,000. In most cases, the minimum standard 350 is applied by oath. According to Oath's own data on hearings, the highest penalty applied during hearings in the past 5 years was $600. Why are these companies giving penalties that are seen as a cost of doing business? We need to change the law. That's the right way forward to get these companies to actually follow the law. Other municipalities already have laws on the books that take into account the number of violations. Sacramento, California, Detroit, Michigan, New Rochelle, New York already have laws that explicitly cite repeat offenses in penalty decisions. It's high time for New York City to do the same, and my legislation would ensure that. It is clear enough that it's not being done, and the law does not match the critical need for vulnerable and impacted communities suffering from idling vehicles. Too often, my office hears constituents who see idling vehicles. We know there's an existing citizens' air complaint program that targets offenders, but it's not doing enough. Idling vehicles, frankly, think that they are above the law. By increasing the penalty, it'll send a clear message that New York City does not tolerate this behavior. I want, in conclusion, thank the bill drafter, Julia Goldsmith-Pinkham, Beth Golub, Jeff Baker, Andrea Vasquez, and from my team, I want to thank my Chief of Staff, Jonathan Shutt, and my Legislative and Budget Director, Brandon Jordan, and of course, I want to thank Chair Gennaro for holding this important hearing and for allowing me the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to the administration's testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Menon. I'm also happy to be among the chorus of co-sponsors on your good bill, and I appreciate your statement. I recognize Councilmember Caban for a statement on Intro 612.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Councilmember Caban. My pronouns are she, her, and I first want to thank Chair Gennaro for holding this hearing. The public health impact of power plants on air quality is a deeply personal issue to my community in Queens. New York City Department of Health reports show that Astoria has above average levels of fine particulate air pollution, which is linked to elevated rates of asthma, chronic lung illness, and cardiovascular disease. And while the city does keep track of this air quality information, we don't currently play a part in the monitoring of New York City power plants, a disproportionate number of which are in Queens, and then another disproportionate number of which are located in Western Queens. So currently, all the power plant performance monitoring happens at the state level, even though the air quality impact of power plants is a very local issue. And as Intro 612 illustrates, I think the city should be actively at the table, not just tracking compliance, but also proactively weighing in on decisions and recommending improvements. And Intro 612 is a simple, straightforward bill accomplishing just that. And I want to thank the advocates that have taken the time to give testimony. And with that, I'll pass it back to Chair Gennaro. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Caban. Can people hear me with this thing? I'm trying to be like a good example or whatever. Okay. Yes, and I think we have some housekeeping that we have to do, the community council, to get the witnesses ready to go. Okay, let me just put that over.
Would you please raise your right hands? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today? And answer faithfully to Chair Gennaro? Thank you.
Thank you, and certainly before we get started, I would be quite remiss if I didn't even recognize that we've been joined by two great members of this committee, Council Members Nurse and Ressler. Happy to have them with us today. And are we good to, they're all sworn in, good to go, right? Okay. You know what? I'm very grateful when, you know, members of the committee come and, you know, bring forward bills and other members have questions. I'm going to defer the questions I have because I'm going to be here for the whole hearing anyway. And I always like to hear from my colleagues and, you know, make sure that they get an opportunity to ask their questions as soon as possible because they have many, many things to do. And I am going to recognize Majority Leader Powers for questions on his bill. I recognize Councilmember Powers for questions. What's that? Pardon me? Oh my God. And so, you know what? How about we do this?
I mean, I can ask questions all day, but I feel like maybe...
I think the Majority Leader had a great idea. Why don't we hear the testimony? Because these three people are sitting in front of us saying, what the heck is going on? What's that? What's that? Yeah, oh, okay, good. I was so excited to hear Keith's questions that I forgot a critical element, which is like your testimony. And we're joined by Councilmember Gutierrez. A pleasure to have her with us. Thank you. And so, okay, so we have the testimony from the administration. Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader, for, you know, giving me the one-on-one and chairing a hearing. My glasses are fogging up. And if you could introduce the panel, whoever's going to be the main witness, and then you proceed with your good testimony.
Great. Everybody can hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Gennaro and members of the Environmental Protection Committee. I'm Carolyn Olson, Assistant Commissioner for the Bureau of Environmental Surveillance and Policy at the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. On behalf of Commissioner Vassan, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I am joined by my colleagues, Carlene McLaughlin from the Department of Environmental Protection, Miranda Alquist from the Department of Transportation, Seth Berkman from the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, Matt Drury from the Department of Parks and Recreation, and Keith Kerman from the Department of Citywide Administrative Services. On behalf of the administration, we appreciate the opportunity to speak today on the importance of air quality and its related public health impacts in New York City. The New York City's air quality program aims to bring public health to bear on development of equitable, sustainable policies for New York City. While the Federal Clean Air Act already provides surveillance of air quality at the citywide level, we recognize the importance of tracking spatial differences in air quality within the city, and in 2007, the Health Department established the New York City Community Air Survey, or NYCAS. NYCAS tracks neighborhood-level differences and changes over time in air quality within the 5 boroughs. It also creates publicly available data to support programs, policy development, community awareness, and research. We began collecting data in December 2008, and next year we will release our 13th year of air quality data. In 2015, Local Law 103 was enacted, codifying NYCAS and its annual report, which we deliver to the Council and publish every Earth Day. NYCAS is proudly the largest ongoing air monitoring program of any U.S. city. Briefly, I'd like to explain how NYCAS works. The department collaborates with Queens College of the City University of New York to collect 2-week air pollution samples at around 90 street-level sites across the 5 boroughs 4 times a year. Each site was purposely selected to provide a representative sample of pollution across a variety of natural and built environments and emission sources within our city, from the middle of St. Mary's Park in the Bronx to Times Square to residential neighborhoods in Queens. We then generate estimates for 5 pollutants: the fine particulate matter, or PM 2.5, black carbon, which is a specific type of PM 2.5, nitric oxide and nitrogen oxide, ozone, and sulfur dioxide. Each monitoring site contributes to our resulting air pollution models, which include the averages for each pollutant and allow us to estimate differences in levels across city neighborhoods and to identify the most important sources of emissions. In addition to the annual report, which is available in an interactive online format, we recently released our updated Environment and Health Data Portal with in-depth views of NYCAS data, how pollution sources drive differences among New York City neighborhoods, and the health impacts of air pollution. We have also developed engaging data stories on a variety of air quality related topics, including the impact of the COVID-19 New York State pause on air quality, understanding changes in the sources of air pollution in New York City, and what our NYCAS data tell us about the influence of car and truck emissions on air quality. After today's hearing, we would be happy to walk you or your staff through our data. NYCAS has documented significant improvements in the city's air quality over the past decade. Average levels of PM 2.5, nitrogen dioxide, nitric oxide, and black carbon have all declined more than 35%, and average wintertime averages of sulfur dioxide have plummeted 98%, bringing levels in line with those measured in rural areas. While all neighborhoods have seen declines in pollution, areas of the city with high levels of traffic, greater building density, more restaurants using charbroiling and open fire grilling appliances, and more industrial land use have higher levels of pollution. Our data and analyses clearly show that where there is more traffic, especially diesel traffic, there is worse air quality, and when traffic volume is reduced, such as during the New York State pause, air quality improves. Air pollution has long been known to have an impact on public health that is disproportionately borne by low-income communities and communities of color. Therefore, the Health Department's air quality program also conducts research on the public health burden of air pollution and estimates the health benefits of policies that either directly or indirectly address air quality. A critical finding from this work is that the most polluted neighborhoods in New York City are not the same neighborhoods that experience the highest burden of air pollution-related health outcomes, including respiratory and cardiac hospitalizations and premature death. We see the highest rates of health impacts in neighborhoods where a majority of residents are people of color. This greater health burden is related to communities that have experienced racist policies and chronic disinvestment, which consequently face increased health challenges and puts them at greater risk of air quality impacts. This pattern is different than most other cities in the US and makes it especially important for emission reduction programs and policies in our city to target the negative effects on public health rather than simply seek to reduce pollution overall. To further this goal, our team, along with academic collaborators, has recently released a tool that allows users to estimate the health impacts and associated costs from increasing or decreasing the emissions from a variety of sources at the zip code level, such as truck traffic, oil burning in buildings, construction equipment, and power plants. This tool, the Zip Code Level Air Pollution Policy Assessment, or ZAPA, is available on the Environment and Health Data Portal, and we provide trainings to city staff and researchers. The Health Department is proud of the work that we do to track neighborhood-level air quality and quantify the health impacts of the air pollutants, but we know we cannot do this alone. Our sibling agencies have been doing tremendous work to improve air quality and know how important it is to public and environmental health. I will share some of the great work they have been doing. The Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, enforces the city's Air Pollution Control Code, which regulates sources of pollution to protect and improve air quality. The code includes regulations concerning vehicle idling, fuel oil, dust emissions from construction and demolition sites, and emission control devices for charbroilers and cook stoves. In addition, DEP's robust green infrastructure and Blue Belt programs increase green space, which provides clean air benefits. The Department of Parks and Recreation oversees and maintains the city's parks and public trees, which provides an incredible array of environmental, social, and economic benefits, including cleaning and cooling the air, reducing stormwater runoff, shading buildings, and conserving energy by reducing heating and cooling costs, protecting city pavement from rain and sun, noise mitigation, and increasing property values. DPR is responsible for just over half of the city's tree canopy. Under the Adams administration, an additional $136 million has been allocated for tree planting, allowing DPR to plant 20,000 trees each year for the next 4 years. The Department of Citywide Administrative Services, or DCAS, is leading New York State and the nation in the conversion to electric vehicles. Through Mayoral Executive Order 90 of 2021, the city committed to an all-electric fleet. In partnership with the U.S. DOT Volpe Center and in accordance with Mayoral Executive Order 53 of 2020, DCAS recently published a Clean Fleet Transition Plan outlining the current status of electric options for each of the city's 120 types of on-road vehicles. Currently, the city has over 4,000 plug-in electric units, which is the largest plug-in fleet in New York State and one of the largest in the country. DCAS is currently working to replace an additional 1,000 gas and diesel vehicles with electric models. In addition, the city recently introduced over 200 Ford Mach-E's for law enforcement and is currently receiving the first of over 300 orders of electric cargo vans. DCAS is working with the Department of Sanitation to introduce all-electric sweepers, with the Department of Corrections to introduce all-electric buses, and with DPR on all-electric pickup trucks. The Department of Transportation, DOT, has many initiatives aimed to reduce emissions and pollution from the transportation sector. DOT encourages the shift from cars to low-carbon modes of travel, including walking, biking, and public transit. This is done through expanding the protected bike lane network and bike parking, continuing to operate and expand the largest open streets program in the nation, increasing bus speeds and reliability along major corridors in all 5 boroughs through bus lanes, busways, improved bus stops, and transit signal priority, and expanding shared micromobility and car share. DOT is also expanding the commercial cargo bike program and the off-hour deliveries program to shift trips from trucks to cargo bikes, and is working with the MTA to plan and implement the congestion pricing program. DOT also works to reduce emissions from vehicles themselves by working with partners to expand electric vehicle charging infrastructure to promote the adoption of electric cars and trucks. And through the New York City Clean Trucks program, the agency gives incentives to accelerate the deployment of cleaner trucks in industrial business zones, which are located near environmental justice communities that have historically been subject to a disproportionate amount of diesel exhaust emissions. The program supports replacing older, dirtier, diesel-powered trucks with advanced transportation technologies and alternative fuels trucks, including electric trucks, leading to cleaner air and health benefits in these communities. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm going to turn to my colleague, Carleen McLaughlin, who will now testify on the bills being heard today.
Good afternoon, Chair Gennaro and members of the Environmental Protection Committee. I'm Carleen McLaughlin, the Director of Legislative Affairs.
If I could just jump in for a minute, just before you start your good testimony. We're joined by Councilmember Aviles, and after the statement of the administration, we'll hear from the council member to give statements on her 2 bills. So that's just how that's going to work, okay? So wanted to recognize her and let people know that she'll be speaking on her bills presently. Now, do I have, so this, where's your committee counsel, where is the testimony from the witness who's speaking now? Yeah, this is the one on the bills. Okay. Thank you. Please continue.
Certainly, thank you. I'm Carleen McLaughlin, the Legislative Director at DEP, and I'd like to just speak briefly about the bills being considered today.
Okay, if you could speak a little more, a little slowly and louder and right into the microphone.
Oh, sure. Okay, I'll start with Intro 279, which would set deadlines to electrify the city's vehicle fleet. The administration shares the goal of a zero-emission fleet and is currently working toward this through Executive Order 90, but we request edits to some details of the bill. We support the Council's work to incorporate these goals into law. DCAS would like to discuss the appropriate goal date for the emergency and specialized equipment. Electric vehicles of many of these types of units are not yet available in the marketplace. Because of this, we have currently set 2040 as a goal for these specialized and emergency response units to provide sufficient time to work with manufacturers to establish viable electric options and to be able to properly test and certify these units. The Department of Education has similar concerns about the 2025 date for school buses. We also want to work with Council to include text about the need for available backup power options for emergency vehicles. As emergency services fleets are electrified, we must ensure that NYPD, FDNY, sanitation, and other critical service can remain operational at all times, including during widespread power outages. Next, I would like to speak about the 2 bills that would amend the city's anti-idling program, Intros 606 and 684. Intro 606 would shorten the idling time near parks, green spaces, and playgrounds. Intro 684 would increase penalties for buses and trucks that receive repeated idling violations. We support both proposals. In fact, DEP is looking for ways to expand the Citizens Complaint Program, so we would like to incorporate some recommendations into the bills. The Citizen Complaint Program has been remarkably successful. We have received more than 40,000 citizen idling complaints in 2022. That's a 400% increase from when we started the program in 2019. We are committed to the continued success of the program, so we request that any change to the law incorporate improvements to the program itself. We want to ensure that DEP and OATH can manage the program effectively and that a wide breadth of community members can participate. We thank the Council for focusing on idling and look forward to working together to strengthen the enforcement program. And just one additional note, it is important to say that any changes to the Citizen Air Complaint Program may require staffing and resources. DEP has staff who investigate complaints and issue summonses, and OATH has staff who process the summonses, adjudicate the cases, and process the awards to citizen complainants. So like I said, any change to the law that might increase the volume of complaints under this program should consider additional resources that might be needed to facilitate this new volume of complaints. Now, Intro 707 would require specific air monitoring on heavy-use thoroughfares. The administration is very supportive of programs that reduce traffic-related pollutants, which are associated with negative health effects. While we support the ultimate goal and intentions of this bill, we recommend changes to its details. Primarily, we would like to work with the Council to prioritize allocating resources to emission reductions efforts. DOHMH and the State Department of Environmental Conservation already maintain air quality monitoring systems around the city, so we know the danger of traffic and we know what pollutants are in our air. As DOHMH discussed, the New York City Community Air Survey is the largest ongoing urban air monitoring program of any U.S. city. With such a robust monitoring system already in operation, the administration favors dedicating resources directly to further reducing emissions from vehicles rather than to additional monitoring work. We look forward to working with the Council on this matter. Finally, I will touch upon Intro 612, which would require the city to formally monitor reports and permits issued by the state under Title V. We share the Council's interest in protecting and advocating for New Yorkers. For that reason, we are involved in siting discussions in New York City and have opposed several power plants. That being said, Title V is a state process, so DEC has sole authority over this work and is staffed to accomplish it. Intro 612 asks the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice to provide oversight to this process, but MOCEJ does not have the authority or the needed expertise to accomplish this bill's goals. MOCEJ would only be able to offer suggestions to a state agency already responsible and staffed for doing this work. The city will continue to be very active and engaged in any siting regulatory processes to help meet our climate and energy goals, and looks forward to working with the Council to further these goals. Thank you for your consideration of these matters. We look forward to engaging in thoughtful discussion with the Chair and the bill sponsors to work toward our shared goal of enriching the environment and promoting public health for all New Yorkers. My colleagues and I are happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Director McLaughlin. Like I indicated, I am going to recognize Councilmember Aviles for her two bills. I don't have the numbers at hand, but I recognize Councilmember Aviles for a statement. But before you go, I see that we've been joined by Councilmember Brewer. I want to recognize that she's with us here today. And with that, so 606 and 707, I recognize Councilmember Aviles for statements on both bills.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair Gennaro, for hearing these two bills today and the opportunity to address you all and my colleagues. First, let me thank our advocates on Intro 606. I'd like to extend gratitude to Eric Eisenberg, who has worked tirelessly to make sure the majority of council members were signed on to this legislation and has enlisted the support of the American Academy of Pediatrics, among others, on this important piece of legislation. The bill is quite simple and common sense. As you know, the current city law prohibits idling in front of schools for more than 1 minute. The logic for having such a law is obvious. We need to protect our children from the harmful impacts of exhaust and particulate matter, as well as to prevent the exacerbation of asthma symptoms for our children who suffer from this condition. This same logic then should apply to all of those spaces our children should occupy. Intro 606 thus would make idling near our city parks, green spaces, playgrounds for more than 1 minute punishable with financial penalties similar to those near schools. For Intro 707, I'd like to thank the Brooklyn Borough President, Antonio Reynoso, for his work on this legislation in the previous session. I'd also like to thank our last mile advocates who continue to put air quality concerns front and center in our district, as well as community boards 6 and 7. As many of you know, I represent District 38, which is an environmental justice community. Since the pandemic, we have seen the rapid proliferation and concentration of last mile facilities as a direct result of discriminatory planning frameworks of the past, which continue to cause Black and brown communities to suffer and bear the brunt of the impact of environmental contaminants and burdening infrastructure. While I continue to grapple with a way to more directly regulate last mile facilities, in the interim, we need to understand the impact that this massive uptick in delivery vehicles, cars, trucks, 18-wheeler tractor trailers has had and will continue to have on our district. Intro 707 calls on New York City to begin monitoring air quality at designated heavy-use thoroughfares. If we utilize the data that we had under a previous system, perhaps we may not have been concentrating these levels of facilities in one community. So it really just does beg the question. The installation of air quality monitors at these sites will continue to help us to understand the extent to which air quality impacts the health of New Yorkers and help us measure the difference between the air qualities before and after these facilities come online. In addition, our city agencies, after collecting the data, will be required to identify, develop, and implement mitigation measures, which will help reduce air contaminants. If you come to my district, you will begin to understand what it means to have unregulated expansion of an industry in the name of economic progress. You will see how short-sighted it is for the city to endlessly approve private for-profit projects that ultimately bring harm than good to communities. We already bear the brunt of polluting infrastructure at disparate levels that benefits the city while harming our local community. You will see that the city continues to lack a holistic perspective on proposals which inherently reside in communities composed of transportation networks, businesses, and most importantly, people. I look forward to the testimony of the advocates on both these bills and to advancing these important pieces of legislation. I would also like to add that while the administration noted support the intention of the bill and noted preferring reducing emissions from the vehicles, I would like to note how the administration proposes to do this in concrete terms. Has it negotiated terms to electrify vehicles of any of these last mile facilities or any of the facilities? They have not, yet they continue to introduce thousands of vehicles into an environmental justice community despite air quality, even what we know about it today. So I look forward to the testimony and the information, and I want to thank again Chair Gennaro for allowing me to put this forward today. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Aviles. Once a stutterer, always a stutterer, 65 years and counting. I know I said we were gonna go right to Keith, but I'm just gonna jump in with a question that I think supports what Councilmember Aviles is getting at with one of her good bills. In the opening testimony on the oversight portion of the hearing about, because this is also not just a legislative hearing, it's an oversight hearing on air quality. As I go through the testimony from the health department, and there is, all this very good information about the New York City Community Air Survey. It's great to survey, it's great to monitor, and then, so there's the monitoring piece. Then there's Zappa, which is the tool that lets people, know what is being found in the monitoring, and it gives us the ability to track how we're doing over time. And then the next part of the statement goes into what all the various agencies are doing. But what I don't see, which is what I think Councilmember Aviles is kind of getting at, which I don't want to put words in her mouth. So we got the monitoring piece, and then we got the reporting piece. It seems to me that in order to complete the cycle, that should feed into a mitigation piece. So if you're monitoring and you're reporting and you kind of know where the hot spots are, I'm wondering if that shouldn't, and what's not mentioned in the statement, although I don't know if it's a thing or not, whether or not that information is, whether or not there's a some kind of collaboration with DOT with regard to rearranging truck routes that could take the burden off of certain communities. That's what I don't see. I see the monitoring, I see the reporting. I don't see that funneling into a mitigation component, and I think that is what is missing, notwithstanding what all the other agencies are doing and what the council has done, regarding air quality. We got rid of, in one fell swoop, this is, years ago, we got rid of, number 6 fuel for heating oil. We took number 4 fuel and had a phase out date for when, and we also took 4 fuel and took it from 4,000 parts per million in sulfur down to 1,500. That was an act of this council. We did the bioheat as well, and at the same time the state came in with the ULSD for number 2 fuel. Those actions all combined were the equivalent of taking every car, truck, and bus off the street of off the streets of the city forever. So we've all been, doing a lot of good work, and that's great. But much more to do, particularly in certain communities. So what I'm getting at here is, if you could speak to the extent, if there is any, of the monitoring and the reporting to a mitigation piece that would feed directly to DOT, that would either mandate them to do some kind of reassessment of truck routes or some kind of mitigation piece. That's what I think Councilmember Aviles is getting at. We can measure, but we have to mitigate. And so, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but this is what I'm trying to get at. I think this is, something I'm, interested in. And meanwhile, I told Keith he could ask questions first, and I lied. And so, sorry, Keith. Okay. So what's your response to that?
So I'll start, and then I'm going to turn it to my colleague from DOT. But the health department, all of that work that we do around surveillance and monitoring is designed precisely for that purpose. So
pardon? Say that again?
Is designed precisely for the purpose of working with our sibling agencies, with DCAS, with DOT.
Yeah, but I don't really see it in the statement that it feeds directly to, DOT in order to perhaps, make some kind of environmentally sensitive reassessment of truck routes. That's what I don't see in the statement.
Right, so I'm going to turn it to my colleague to talk about exactly the different programs that they have. But I will say that we work closely with them all the time, sharing our data and talking about the ways in which data is impacting certain communities and how to prioritize the communities with the greatest health burden. And I'll turn it to Miranda.
Yeah, and with the mask on, you got to speak loudly, slowly, and very close to the microphone, like I'm doing.
Well, thank you both council members for the questions. I'm Miranda Alquist, Assistant Director of Legislative Affairs at DOT. And Councilmember, I know you have raised this with my office before, and we're very committed to working on this with you. We're starting a Red Hook study in 2023 that we hope to work with you closely on.
I'm having a little difficulty hearing, so right up against the mic.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
will we start?
Yeah, just pull the mic closer.
Can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. I'm Miranda Alquist, Assistant Director of Legislative Affairs at DOT. Thank you both for this question. I know my office has been working with you, Councilmember Aviles, on this issue, and we will be starting a study of Red Hook in this coming year. And thank you again for bringing this up. And as my colleague said, we work closely with Health Department to figure out where to do these mitigations. But just taking a step back, like so much of DOT's work aims to reduce emissions and reduce pollution from like our protected bike lanes, our improving bus speeds and making people transition, take buses more, shared micromobility. All of this is like a very holistic approach to this work. Regarding truck routes, like I want to get a little more information to send back to you, but I think this Red Hook study will be informative and help us as we move forward.
Okay, one more question, Keith. Can you give me a concrete example where the monitoring piece that you talked about and like the reporting piece has directly led to the mitigation of a certain area, either by changing truck routes or whatever? One example.
Well, it's not about truck routes, but it's about our Clean Trucks program. This is a very successful program that built off the success of the Hunts Point Clean Trucks program. And it's a federally funded rebate incentive program to accelerate the deployment of cleaner trucks in industrial business zones. These are located in close proximity to environmental justice communities. And this leads to really great air benefits for those communities directly. So like by using that data, we've been able to target like where these rebates should be given and everything.
So when you talk about the Cleaner Trucks program, I know you talked about it. It was talked about in the statement. What does it do? It gives trucks that are cleaner more access.
Yes.
What does it do?
It gives financial incentives for them to switch from like heavy diesel to alternate fuels such as compressed natural gas, hybrid electric, and full battery electric vehicles.
Right, but it's fair to say that that if I was in Councilmember Avila's district and I watched the trucks go by, the percentage of trucks that know about the program, participate in the program, would be negligible. And so I think from where I am, like in the cheap seats here, I think we need, like the missing piece is the mitigation that would take trucks off certain routes and see if we can find other routes that would be more environmentally sensitive. Now, I understand that that's going to lead to a lot of yelling and screaming, because when you open up new truck routes, people aren't going to want to hear it, and no one likes yelling and screaming, but I think the goal is equity here and burden sharing, and I think that is the missing piece. And I know that Councilmember Aviles will follow this up with her questioning, but I'm going to, at long last, after fits and starts, after offering him to ask questions before you testified, and then whatever, and so Keith has now learned never to trust me, and that's a good lesson for him to learn, and as majority leader, he has to keep people like me in line, and so, with that, I open the floor. I recognize him for questions on his bill. Please.
Thank you. I feel so much pressure now to deliver world-class questions here, but thank you to the chair for his opportunity to ask questions early here. Just a couple questions on the legislation that I introduced on the electric vehicles. Number one is just, can you outline the biggest challenges for the agencies right now when it comes to meeting the deadlines. Some of the deadlines in our legislation reflect what the prior administration has said, I believe what this current administration has said, so that's where we're taking them from. You're asking for, I think, some caveats to that. So can you just explain to us why and what are the largest challenges that you see in compliance to that?
Absolutely.
And also, while you're doing that, can you also tell us where we are right now in terms of electric vehicles?
Sure. So thank you, Majority Leader. My name is Keith Kerman. I'm the Chief Fleet Officer for the City of New York and a Deputy Commissioner at DCAS. And I'm happy to be again in front of you, Chair Gennaro, and also Councilmember Brewer, who have, and I do want to mention, since you did mention the previous law, Local Law 35 of 2005, which I believe you're both sponsors of, and I've had the privilege on behalf of the administration, going over 2 decades now to administer, that law had incredible impact. We built the largest alternative fuel-powered fleet in the United States, public or private, at about 20,000 vehicles. And this is really the opportunity now to take the next step and to build an all-electric fleet, a zero-emission fleet. So where we are now, we're at 4,050 electric vehicles, which is, as large a electric plug-in fleet as operates in New York State. At DCAS, working with OMB, we are now working on about 1,000 additional replacements. So we expect by mid-next year, summer of next year, to be at about 5,000. And that's kind of the pace we need to be at least 1,000 a year, and then to escalate that going forward.
Okay, can I just, why is that the pace that we need to be working at? I guess that's kind of the crux of my question. Like, what are the challenges? But why is that? Why is 1,000 a year the pace that we need to be working at?
So to electrify the entire city fleet, the on-road fleet, you're going to need to be at about 25,000 vehicles. Depending on your goal date, if it's 2035, then you're probably going to need to be at about 1,500 to 1,600 a year. But 1,000 is a big threshold, and that goes into what the challenges are. So on the light-duty side, light-duty certainly non-emergency, we have those models. The sedans, the SUVs, the minivans, at least in the plug-in hybrid, we have models that are developing. We are just now in the first really big and very exciting rollout of medium-duty electric. And that, even a few years ago, I could not have told you the marketplace could have supported that. But right now, we have 350 4D transits, cargo vans, and of course, we know delivery vans in general are one of the big exploding types of vehicles out there. So the city is going to lead with 350 of our city cargo vans going all electric, and they are rolling into agencies right now. DCAS has its first electric pickup truck contracts. We'll be buying over 100 electric pickups to start. So we're able to make progress now on medium duty. And medium duty is 25% of the city fleet, so that's an important sector. The challenge is where you get into the heavy duty, and especially when you get into law enforcement and emergency services. So just a single example. There is not a current fire engine or ladder that is all electric that meets the FDNY specs in the country or in the world. So
can I just because in the respect of time, because I'm a minute, I understand there's not, we have exemptions in the bill for areas where they're not widely available vehicles. So I think the fire department would fit into that. Can you just explain why you think you need extra time to comply with the bill that I have? I think you're asking for an extra 5 or so years.
Right, so what we're saying and what we have in the executive order now is, and it's about 15% of the city fleet that we're talking about. So for 85% of the fleet, we think we can make 2035 and that the models exist in the marketplace. For that 15%, and it's fire department, it's other specialized emergency service response for police, other specialized units, we just want to work with you to set expectations. It's absolutely true. The law has exemptions. The law gives the DCAS commissioner, in partnership with the DEP commissioner, the ability to exempt for the different, supply, charging, and other issues. But we do want to set expectations. I do think for that set of vehicles, 2040 is what's, unless, we actually hope and are working toward a big change in manufacturing. We push manufacturers every day. But right now, that looks like a more realistic date for us to commit to. and not wanting to be dependent on exemptions. We don't want to do tons of exemptions. We want to meet these targets.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask one more.
No, I'm just saying, I just wanted to jump in. I just want to give you some latitude to ask what you want to
I
ask.
appreciate it. Thank you. I'll be respectful because I know we have a lot of questions here. I just wanted to ask one more question, which was on the same topic. I think there was a discussion around needing backup power for emergency vehicles. So can you tell us what infrastructure currently exists for backup power, whether it's at police precincts or FDNY station houses, in terms of generators, and what would be needed here in order to accommodate a transformation to electric vehicles?
Absolutely. So, currently the city operates 200 general use, gas stations, fuel stations. And so we have a diesel generator, not a great thing. We don't love diesel generators, but in emergency backups, each of those has a diesel generator tied to it. But that's a single fuel station. That's 200. As we go to an all-electric fleet, right, the police department has 9,000 total fleet assets alone, fire about 2,500 fleet assets. You will now be dependent on being able to do backup power across thousands of electric chargers. And so that taxes your backup power capacity. And we don't want the answer to be that we buy thousands of diesel generators, right? That doesn't. So some of the things we are already doing, we are introducing solar carports. There are 86 solar carports currently operating throughout the city, completely freestanding, off the grid, a really great product. And anyone who's been in the municipal building knows there's a solar carport right next to the municipal building. We have an additional 71 that we have purchased and are going to be coming in the next couple months. So that's one resilient opportunity. We're looking at battery storage chargers that don't feed directly from the grid, but actually feed from the grid a battery, and that battery feeds the vehicle. Why is that important? If the power goes out, the battery is charged. You can charge for 12 to 24 hours. And we are also looking at some of the federal grants. We are talking to a lot of manufacturers about bigger battery storage type solutions. So to give just one example, the city currently operates 65 liquid fuel trucks. And those are for emergencies, right? So basically fuel trucks, emergency goes down. During Sandy, we depended on them enormously. So what's the electric version of that, right? We need a big electric battery truck, and we're working on those things. So we recognize with our emergency services partners that backup power will be very important, and we just think it's something to mention. The law is actually very well written on these kind of qualifying issues. We just thought that one was probably a good one to add.
Good. Thank you for your feedback, and we'll continue to talk with you guys about how to work together on this, and thank you to the chair for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. I recognize Councilmember Menon for questions on her bill.
Great, thank you so much, Chair. First of all, I'm thrilled to hear that the administration supports my bill number 684. I just have a couple of follow-up questions. Who would enforce 684?
Who else is that?
Thank you, Councilmember Menon, for that question and for your focus on this issue. So 684 would amend, of course, the existing idling requirements of the city. So it would be enforced by DEP and other agencies that are currently authorized to enforce idling requirements. It would also be part of the citizen complaint idling program. And so any members of the community could report on idling violations through that program.
Okay, thank you. And what's the forecasted change in revenue that the city expects if the bill is passed?
So that's another great question. That's something, it's a little difficult to predict that right now, of course. I can say that we've had more than 40,000 reports through the citizen complaint program. Those are complaints of trucks and buses just in 2022. And more than 90% of the cases that DEP brings to oath through that program are found to be in violation, and fines are assigned in those more than 90% of the cases. So it could be significant. That being said, of course, the goal of the program is not revenue collection. I think we all share the goal is to encourage more compliance with the idling requirements and to reduce idling overall. And so that is the more important goal that we're going to focus on.
Great, and just one last follow-up question. So what currently happens when a city-owned vehicle is reported for idling, and has the city issued any idling violations against municipal vehicles?
Sure, thank you for that. We encourage anyone who sees a city vehicle idling to report that. We encourage that to be reported directly to DEP. at our NYC idling email address. You can also report it to 311. When we get reports of city vehicles that are idling, we reach out to the agency that operates the vehicle, and they can handle that directly with their staff to make sure everyone's aware of the laws and the policies and complies with everything that they should be complying with.
So has the city issued any against municipal vehicles? Any
DEP
violation?
has not issued any against municipal vehicles that I'm aware of. We handle those by reaching out to the agencies to handle administratively.
Okay, thank you, Chair, very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Menon, for bringing forward this good bill, and appreciate you being here. I'm glad that we could accommodate your schedule. And now, we've all been waiting for Councilmember Aviles. I recognize her for questions on her two good bills, and I have your back.
Thank you, Chair Gennaro. I guess our colleague had mentioned a truck study that is set to commence that I will note for the record has been requested for well over a decade by our community. In fact, probably 2 decades we've been requesting as one of the districts with the largest industrial manufacturing zones for multiple traffic studies, both the Red Hook corridor of 3rd Avenue and Sunset Park's 3rd Avenue corridor and Red Hook. So long overdue, and we welcome it. Nevertheless, I was just looking at the NICAS survey, and it's particular to note that there are no air monitors in Red Hook. There is one on the other side of the BQE in Gowanus. There is one in Sunset Park, very far from, actually at the beginning of the industrial sector, and that is it. That is the totality of air quality monitoring in one of the busiest industrial sectors of New York City.
Councilmember, I've just asked the sergeant to move the microphone a little closer.
Oh, I'm sorry, closer, apologies.
Sure.
I'm so into the sightings here, I'm actually appalled. Our community has mentioned not being able to get any data. And here this confirms that we actually have no air quality monitoring happening in very critical environmental justice communities. So can the administration tell me why this is the case?
Yes, thank you for the question, Council Member. So as you saw, the locations of all of our monitors are available online, and the way that NICAS has been designed is that each of the locations has been chosen scientifically in order to represent the wide variety of different areas and emission sources in our city. So we have over 90 monitors all over the city, and each location has been selected in order to provide a representative sample at the end of the day so that we can use all of those data to create estimates for the entire city. So each individual monitor, the data that come from it are added to models so that we can then estimate for the entire city. So we don't provide data only for one monitor. We provide data ultimately for every neighborhood in order to understand those differences between neighborhoods. So that's the way that our monitors are selected, and we actually make sure that we have strong representation of traffic, of industrial, as well as in parks, in highly residential areas, et cetera.
But the city currently has no data monitoring of Red Hook itself, and has cited over the last couple of years, we have 7 last mile facilities, well over 1 million square feet of these gargantuan facilities that are not using the water, although on the water, they are using trucks. And there has been introductions of thousands of cars, vans, delivery sprint vans, and these trucks into our community, and the city has 0 monitoring.
So again,
I'm going to jump in just for a second, and let's not worry about the clock. And so just to kind of add on to that question, it's just that I see the council member, I think it's the difference between a citywide, global, you know, like a citywide effort to, you know, compile kind of like a database of, not to, you know, denigrate it, but like scientific, you know, esoterica, you know, to get data where you get like a picture of the whole city and find out, you know, where the where there are problems and, you know, where the air quality is getting better, but and so you're kind of approaching it from the macro level, but the council member is approaching it from the micro level. I mean, she lives there. She represents 170,000 people who, you know, who are, you know, living their lives there, and she sees the, you know, the developments in real time, and she sees what's going on in the street. So I think what we're, you know, what we need to have is some blending of the macro with the micro in order to address, you know, real serious problems. And I think input from the member who, you know, represents people, that there ought to be some ability to kind of fold that into what you're already doing. And then getting back to the drum I was banging earlier, there's got to be a mitigation piece. And so that's so I'm adding that layer on top of her good question. I hope you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I think, yes, what we see is not only a lack of neighborhood level data, but any consideration of that. And the compounding, we're not also talking about the cement plant, the waste treatment facility, the peaker plant, all within a small radius, and multiple other facilities that are there. The city is not looking at any collective assessment of what a community is dealing with and doesn't want to monitor anymore. You know, it's our community that is suffering incredibly high rates of lung cancer, incredibly high rates of asthma, and yet a continued pursuit of an economic development strategy that continues to cite these facilities in that very same community. If we have the data, why are we not using it? And what are the concrete mitigation efforts that are happening? We see more facilities coming online with no end in sight. It takes 20 years to get a truck route. It takes us to beg private entities to do air quality monitoring, right? Because if you don't have the data, you cannot prove it. Yet we are sick and dying every single day. So I cannot understand how this is adequate and the admin thinks that this would be okay. Without any mitigation strategy, what can I go to my community and say how the agency is mitigating what we are facing? What mitigation strategies are you putting forward? Don't tell me clean trucks, because there are none, as the chair pointed out. We have no clean trucks.
And also just add, because so the council member is talking about mitigation. You know, she's also talking about steps like citing of certain kinds of facility that only make it worse. And I don't see any kind of nexus between the monitoring and the reporting. So I talked earlier about a nexus between that and DOT with regard to traffic routes. But you know, with regard to zoning and like citing of certain facilities, I think there needs to be some consideration of that as well. And so that's where the breakdown is. Like, we're doing a lot of data collection, but you know, when it comes to mitigation of what's already there, when it comes to not making it worse by citing a certain facility that's going to, you know, create all kinds of traffic spikes and backups and, you know, trucks queuing and all kinds of vehicles, that's where it falls down. And I think
Chair,
it's a fair assessment.
I might note, Red Hook in particular, if you don't know the geography, has one truck route. And thousands of trucks are being introduced into this truck route that is residential, a very narrow street. It is a two-way street with more and more trucks being added. Every homeowner on that block of Van Brunt will tell you their houses are already cracking from the volume. The infrastructure cannot sustain it. And yet, every couple of months, there's a new facility that is being cited. And so there is a complete disconnect, both with the planning, with the policy, with the mitigation effort, and with any data we seem to have, which is also not easily available by public and clearly not even relevant. So, you know, I think we have a long way to go, and I think for the administration to say it's done enough monitoring is an affront, and clearly we see that that is the case here. It needs to be integrated into all of those things.
Yes, and we'll wait for some response from the administration on that.
Okay, so thank you. I really appreciate all of the issues that are being raised. I want to make sure that there's a clear understanding of the way that we're currently doing our surveillance. We do have neighborhood level estimates available publicly on our environment and health data portal, both for air quality, so for the actual air pollution levels, as well as the associated health benefits, or sorry, health impacts of that air pollution. And the way that that is created is with the representative sample that I talked about, which includes areas, for example, like Hunts Point, which is very similar to the types of industrial areas that you're describing in Red Hook. And then we also combine that with emissions data, with information about the emission sources, whether it's traffic volume at individual streets, whether it's buildings, density, et cetera. So these things are all combined together in order to generate those estimates. And so those data provide us with a very robust understanding of the differences between neighborhoods and the levels of pollution as well as health benefits, or sorry, health impacts from that air pollution. So that's the approach that we're taking, and we're very, very dedicated and working hard with our partners at DOT and other agencies on how can we be directly addressing using these data, which are made publicly available and which we work directly to provide to our partners as well, to analyze and understand the impacts of a variety of different policies and methods to address these problems. And so that is definitely our goal. We share that goal with you. We're very happy to discuss the data further, look at it with you, think about how it can be used in order to push forward a variety of different projects. And I defer to others.
So would you say what is the threshold of the introduction of cars, vans, tractor trailers, do you think is okay for any community in New York City?
I'm sorry, I don't
Do you
quite
have a
understand
threshold of the amount of additional cars, trucks, vans that you would introduce into a community without concern?
No, we don't have any particular
Okay, so if
threshold right there.
what we are seeing is upwards of thousands of additional cars, trucks, vans into a very concentrated area, is that not cause for alarm?
So we know that the amount of traffic on the road is definitely an important factor in understanding how pollution varies across our city, and that's one of the pieces of information that goes into understanding.
But that's not
the health
thousands additional in a concentrated area is really no concern. We know it just contributes. What I'm trying to get at here is if there is a threshold, someone's ignoring it. We are seeing a very isolated, geographically isolated community bearing the brunt of thousands of diesel trucks. Additionally, more than what the city is already, from COVID, we know car ownership expanded. We are talking on top of that. And there is no cause for alarm, and there is no end in sight. By the time we finish our truck study, we'll be a year in. How much more emissions does our community have to swallow before somebody notices? That's what I'm not understanding with the data and the assessments. It seems not to be taken into account anywhere.
I can certainly sympathize with the council member. I believe that data needs to drive action. It needs to drive change, and that seems to be the missing piece. I'll just a side note to council. Once upon a time, I passed a law. I can't remember how many years ago. That when it comes to certain city decision making, we added the criterion of environmental protection when it comes to like a host of various kinds of city decisions. If we could unearth that law and find out what it says, and so being that that is on the books someplace, and maybe it was at the time, maybe now it's regarded as sort of like a symbolic thing, but that may be a hook for us to kind of work this a little harder and get the kind of paradigm that we need, because it's very interdisciplinary, right? It's you folks, it's DOT, it's city planning, it's the zoning and what the zoning will permit, but there has to be some sort of consideration in order to give these communities relief. I didn't want to step on your question there, but I'll give the administration the final word on what Councilmember Aviles and I just expressed.
Yeah, so I will just echo that I really appreciate your advocacy.
Right.
I definitely hear what you're saying.
We're not trying to beat up on you. We like you. We have no problem. We like you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. But in all sincerity, I hear you, and we share your goals. We share the importance of measuring this across the city. We've invested a huge amount in understanding to the very best of our ability, conducting this surveillance because we're the health department, right? Because air quality, we do that surveillance from the health department because of the importance of the health impacts. So we make those data available. We work very closely with our colleagues to share those data and to use them as part of the decision making in addressing these very important issues. So I really appreciate that, and I don't know, I'm going to turn, there may be some additional things from DOT.
I also want to echo the thanks in raising this today, and we definitely do hear you. But you asked what is the threshold? I think we see this, and I'm acknowledging that, and City Hall has convened a multi-agency working group to talk about freight, to figure out how we can work together with the various agencies. You raised zoning, that's DCP. We all do need to be working together, and I think I'm really excited about this Red Hook study and working more with you on this, but we definitely hear you, and we share your goals of mitigating this and keeping New Yorkers safe.
And what I'll say, Councilman Reveal, is just this week, the administration made an announcement of its new Plan YC effort. Many years ago, there was a Plan YC under Bloomberg. Now there's a new Plan YC. I am a member of that. I'm a member of the advisory board, or whatever it's called. And that just happened this week. There are a number of EJ representatives on the new Plan YC thing, Plan YC effort, and I think that provides a little bit of a window into, because it's completely blue sky. It's just it's a panel of all kinds of urban planners and experts on how we can make a cleaner, greener, and particularly more environmentally just city. And if they can't come up with something, then I don't know what. And so, we should talk offline and figure out how we interact with Plan YC and make sure this is on their agenda front and center. But I'm into your stuff here. I got you on this, okay? And so does that conclude your questioning? I just wanted to give you a lot of latitude on this, okay? And so,
Thank you, Chair. I
oh,
appreciate the
no,
the
this
courtesy
is,
and the time.
we're gonna do something here. And so, who's next for questioning? No, yeah, okay, but who has first? Okay, so, okay, so I recognize Council, Sandy, did you put in for questions? Okay, does anybody know who was first? Okay, okay. All right, so, I recognize Councilmember Nurse for questions.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I just have short, pointed questions. At our sanitation hearing in November, we heard from the commissioner say that DSNY's effort to electrify a lot of their fleet is undergoing, but there's a lot of challenges with the garbage collection vehicles, and we understand because when they plow, they conk out, and it all makes sense that the technology isn't there for it. And so I guess I was curious about, for the heavier parts of the municipal fleet, what is the role of either DCAS or other agencies in kind of a regular assessment of the new technology available? How often does that happen, and how does it happen? Do people reach out to you who are producing this technology, or is it kind of in some kind of quarterly, or just a little bit more for us to understand how that works?
Absolutely, and thank you for the question. So we have, through Executive Order 53 of 2020, a process called the Clean Fleet Transition Plan. Mm-hmm. Actually, there's also a Safe Fleet Transition Plan. And we have partnered over now 7 or 8 years with the United States Department of Transportation, the Volpe Center, which is kind of their research think tank. And so just a few weeks ago, we published our first Clean Fleet Transition Plan report with Volpe, which goes through its public record. We can share it with you for every single type of vehicle in the city fleet, without exception.
No, we used it for our hearing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right,
I was just more of like how you're getting the updates of new. Does that report come out? I'm sorry,
So that-
ignorance. Does it come out periodically, or is it going to be?
Yes, by executive order, we will produce that every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We are constantly meeting with vendors. So we're in what we call market research, right? So in the last 6 months, our sustainability team has met with over 110 vendors in market research. We are in contact with everyone in the industry endlessly. We do run a fleet show, a public fleet show, which is also it's a lot of fun, in May in Flushing Meadow Park, where we have hundreds of vendors pitching the latest and best in technology. And then on the trucking side, it's absolutely true. Certain things like the plowing, the fire equipment are still technology challenges. We are working on those, right? We are in contact with the major manufacturers like Mack and Seagrave. But there is progress that can be made now as we work for those. So the city has about 350 to 400 garbage trucks that do not plow. The Parks Department has about 160. Sanitation also has about 200. There are a few at DOT. So we're working on contracts right now. We have our first order of 7 in, and we're working through DCAS to get contracts for all those other garbage trucks in place. So start where you can, and we can move those garbage trucks first as we work to get the plowing solutions. And we're doing the same in every year. We are bidding box trucks right now, rack trucks right now, bucket trucks right now. So we will, wherever the marketplace allows, and that is 84%, 85% of the fleet. So there has been a big advance.
No, I understand, yeah.
So we're going to go hard and push where we can do that, where the market allows, and then keep asking our manufacturers to dig in, do better, and get us options on the others.
My other question was, which companies are you procuring from? What's your top companies, the top 3 that we're working with?
Sure. So right off the bat, Ford is the largest supplier of vehicles currently to the city fleet at about 11,000 assets. That's mainly because the main police car is the Ford Interceptor hybrid right now, and so we have a lot of police cars. Then GM and Toyota on the light and medium duty side are your top 3. On the trucking side, your top 3 are Mack, Freightliner, and then Seagrave. Mack is most of your garbage trucks. Freightliner is a lot of the DOT, Parks, DEP equipment, and then Seagrave is the vast majority of fire equipment.
Okay, and then a question about your siting criteria for the charging stations. I know that there's a layer of consideration around environmental justice maybe, or perhaps where there's higher rates of emissions that are concentrated or different types of air pollutants, but what is the criteria you're using for those siting decisions?
Well, we're rolling out charging in all parts of the city, and we have a published map. We are in every part of the city, EJ communities, outside, all 5 boroughs. One thing, often, and we welcome any help we can get, we need to find the space ourselves, right? You need to find locations where we can put up charging. DCAS currently offers 11 fast chargers to the general public, as well as fleet. So if we can find a spot that the fleet can use, but also the general public has access, we will do that. And we're looking to do an additional 20 in the next year. Finding spaces can be tricky, in many ways. We'll take any available space we can find, right? We want to get out this charging. We have committed to doing 1,776 fast chargers by 2030, and we're funded for that. That's a lot. We'll go anywhere someone can find us viable space. I will say one of the benefits of the solar carports that we're putting out, and we're bringing in 71 in the next few months, is that is extremely flexible asset. So that does not require infrastructure. It does not. We don't have to go to Con Ed and say. So that's something where if there's advice about places that we could place those, that is quite literally tow and they work. We just bring them over. So that's something that's much more flexible. Some of the other work, we partner with Con Ed to find. We obviously need the space. We also need the electrical infrastructure. But we're open to placing wherever we can.
Thank you. Chair, just one last question?
I was going to say, if you want to
and just on the power plants, the bill that I think Councilmember Caban had introduced. So with the CLCPA in place and the upcoming Title V permit renewals happening in 2023, how is the city planning on engaging with that and with that process? And is there any time in the past where you've engaged with something like that that we could hear more about in terms of what it might look like moving forward?
This is on.
Please state your name for the record before you reply.
Sure. My name is Seth Berkman. I'm an energy policy advisor in the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. So you asked about the CLCPA and power plant permitting. So first thing I would note is that power plant permitting is a state jurisdictional issue.
Yep.
I think, as you know, and we stated in our testimony, the Department of Environmental Conservation is resourced to monitor power plant permitting. They're resourced to do enforcement actions if any plant is not in compliance. And that's why we don't necessarily support the bill as the bill because our office isn't resourced to provide technical input.
Does the city take positions on these?
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next. So as an example, so typically the city does not support new fossil fuel infrastructure unless it's necessary for safety or reliability reasons. To just give one example of a power plant that the city provided an opinion on, a statement, comments on, was a power plant renewal in Astoria. I think it was in 2021, but I'm not 100% certain on the date. And the city opposed the renewal of that power plant's permits, and ultimately they were denied. One of the things that's exciting that the city has supported in the past is using sites that are currently fossil fuel infrastructure for the siting of clean energy. So we supported the Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity, CPCN, for an energy storage project that would exist on that site. One of the reasons we were able to oppose the renewal of the permit for that particular plant in Astoria is because we have also engaged in supporting clean energy infrastructure projects elsewhere that allow for fossil plants to be retired without threatening reliability of the grid. So we're very active in supporting clean energy infrastructure that makes it possible to essentially retire fossil fuel infrastructure without threatening electric reliability.
So just, you all will be actively participating and providing input in this process that's upcoming?
Yes.
Okay.
If I could, Councilmember Nurse, just jump in, because I used to be a deputy commissioner at, DEC, and again, I don't want to put words in Councilmember Kaman's mouth, but I think what she's getting at with her bill is that she wants the bad actors kind of like tracked and tracked and reported on to the council, because we have the ability, we have the ability that the administration doesn't have, because if you yell and scream at DEC too loudly, they're just going to squash you like a bug. That's just what's going to happen. I used to do that for a living, and so but we can say whatever we want, and so I think what Councilman Caban is looking for is reporting, so we could sort of chronicle the bad actors who are currently on the scene, and then we could take that report and we could do whatever we want with it. We could protest. We could we could yell at the governor. We could yell at the DEC commissioner. Things that the administration can't do without getting spanked. And so I think this is what this is about. We get that the city doesn't have much of a role in the process of citing and this and that, and whether or not the city approves or disapproves of some permit going forward. The DEC couldn't care less. But with the DEC, what might affect the DEC's actions and the state's actions is, for the bad actors that they're not kind of riding herd on, that they should do a little better job at that. I think that's what that bill is kind of getting at. And so, who's tapping me? I'm being tapped right now. I know it's Councilmember Nurse. I was referring to Councilmember Caban, who's not here. So yeah, I know. Yeah. So did I call you? I didn't call you, Councilmember. Yeah. Okay. Fine. But thank you. All right. So is that you good? Okay. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Councilmember Nurse. I recognize Councilmember Gutierrez for questions.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to, I just started. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, Gail, you're up.
No!
Okay, sorry.
So I just wanted to uplift what Councilmember Aviles, I think, eloquently and beautifully drove home the reality that the data sets that you are all using can be valuable, but what's happening on the ground, what's happening in a more current basis is also just as valuable. And so I just want to uplift that, because there is, for a long time, the south side of Williamsburg, Bushwick, parts of North Brooklyn have always been considered environmental justice communities. So I have some questions about the report. I was able to look through it during opening statements. Can you just explain to me in my short time, what are the parameters around what you all considered a retired site on the report?
You're talking about the NICAS report?
Yes.
Okay. So retired sites, so over time, we have a set of core 60 monitors that have been in the same place for the entire period of the study. And then the remainder of the sites are ones that have changed as we have updated our methods, and also as our city has evolved and changed, and we make sure that we have a representative sample. So a retired site is one that in the past may have been operating but is not operating currently.
And is there anything that would trigger a retired site to then be just a operating site?
So it would just depend each year as we look at our sites and create our sample with the scientists who are doing that work. If they find that they need a particular type of area represented, then we would consider going back and sampling in that same place that we had been in the past, or potentially going to a different one.
So what do you all need to hear from us as far as advocacy? So I'm speaking for Williamsburg, and I'm also speaking for Councilmember Aviles's district. What do you all need to hear from us besides this hearing, to let you know this is an area that needs attention. This is an area that we know needs to be monitored.
So I would say we want, as I said before, we appreciate the advocacy, and we definitely are interested in making sure we have the best possible data to represent air quality across the city. We work very hard on that, and so we would be very interested and happy to meet with you and your staff to talk about the ways in which we collect the data for NICAS and how we combine it with emissions data, so that you have a full understanding of that, and we can hear from you what your interests are.
Thank you. Okay, so I have 3 questions. I'm just going to shoot them out, and you answer them how you can. My next question is, how does the administration or your multiple agencies, with respect to this report or just any air quality report, how do you all work with the groups doing this work on the ground? Specifically, El Puente has a wonderful study called Nuestro Aire, Our Air. This air quality study started before its founder, Luis Garnacosta, passed away. The report is live on their website. But what we find is this report means nothing at least it didn't mean anything to the previous administration. They deemed a park that needed to be condemned because of how toxic it was, and the administration still moved forward with a CPI initiative to redo the park. I was at the ribbon cutting. It's toxic. So how do you all work with these CBOs that are doing this work on a more consistent basis, and I would say even in a more meaningful basis? My next question is, how does it inform infrastructure? And I raise that specific example because there was a lot of local support around rerouting the funds for this initiative to another park because it was toxic, because it sits at the foot or the entrance of the Williamsburg Bridge, and still the administration moved forward with this infrastructure project. So what does this report do if it's not informing better use of city dollars to improve our park space, our open space? And then my last question is, do the various levels of reporting, do they all talk to each other? Do they reflect data that overlaps, that I think would be really meaningful for us as policymakers? Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So I'll take a stab at those, and then I'm happy to follow up further. So I will just say that at the health department with our monitoring, we work very hard to make the data that we have available to all these different groups across the city. We meet with groups, and we've actually done projects with El Puente as an example, specifically around hyperlocal monitoring in order to understand air quality and think about how that looks in the context of the broader picture of air quality across the city. So that's definitely one of our goals, and we're always very happy to work directly with community-based organizations, talk with them about their data, and show them ours, and make sure that there's good communication there. And then our sharing of data, as I've discussed earlier, is not just with the public, but very actively with our other city partners. And I know that there's a lot of processes in place for community engagement as they engage in a variety of these different actions.
Hi, I just want to add also, the Department of Citywide Planning does perform environmental impact study assessments of certain developments around the city. They're not with us here today, but I know that process does review things like traffic patterns that might be altered by a new development, and so we're happy to follow up with them and with your office and Councilmember Aviles' office to talk about that process in more detail.
Thank you, Councilman Gutierrez. I recognize Councilmember Brewer for questions.
Thank you very much. I am focused on the delivery people, and I know this is not necessarily vehicles, but when you have your public-private electrical possibilities of charging, does that include the batteries for bicycles, or could it?
Currently, no.
By the way, you're fabulous. I just want to let you know, Keith. Thank you.
And
just want to let you know.
Thank you. I appreciate the chance to have been
About
working.
30 years of fabulousness. Go ahead.
I've had the pleasure of working with you, testifying in front of you for 3 decades, and thank you very much.
Right.
So the current, one of the issues, and we've been looking at how to accommodate this, Fast charge, electric bikes do not fast charge, right? So when we put out a fast charger right now, an electric bike simply cannot use it.
Okay.
So one of the things we are looking at is whether we could include regular charging, kind of like 220-volt ports in fast chargers. They actually are in solar carports. So your solar carport, you could actually go over and bring your bike. And we do have a few of those we're making publicly accessible. It's kind of a pilot. But one of the things we're looking at is as we install fast chargers, can we put in regular ports so that you could do just that? And how do we fit them in so you're not blocking the vehicle? So currently, no, because an electric bike simply can't fast charge. But we are looking at our specs. We are going to bid on a new set of fast charging specs, actually, in January. And that's one of the things that we're looking at is how to kind of add in some regular charge ports so you could do exactly what you're talking about.
Thank you. That might curtail some of these fire problems. Number two is the people that do the citizen complaints. I know some of them. They're making their whole friggin' living on doing this, right? Like a very nice salary. Is it distributed around the city? Like, is it making a difference in the areas that you're doing it? They're friends of mine, but they're challenging, may I add. And they come outside my office and just stand and nail people. I don't know if it's helpful or not. I know they're making money, and that's good. And maybe I want to know if it's working. Is it helping to curtail the idling? Is it helping the air quality, et cetera?
Sure, thank you so much for bringing that up. We are, as I said, really proud of the program and the amount of participation that we have. We think overall that's an incredibly good thing, right? That we have more than 40,000 complaints that came to us just this year. And so the way the process works is a citizen reports the incident to DEP. DEP looks at the evidence, processes the case, and forwards that information to Oath and takes it to Oath. More than 90% of the cases that DEP brings to Oath have been found in violation, and so a fine has been assessed, and we're very proud of that also. One of the things we really want to do as we are looking for ways to expand this program and improve this program based on the lessons that we've learned over the past 4 years is to ensure that as many people have access to it as possible. Of course, anyone can do it from anywhere in the city, but we'd like to make the process simpler.
Mr. Chair, can you turn your mic off or something? I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yes, so we'd like to make the program more efficient, more effective in a way that more people will be able to access it more easily.
That's what I was hoping.
Yes, exactly. And so because we want to encourage it to be used as a citywide tool and not just used by
I do find that it's not clearly able to be used by a lot of different people, diversity, and I know who's using it, so I guess it's helping, but hopefully it's helping the air quality in addition to people's pocketbooks. And I guess there's more to be done on that.
Yes,
So the data you have shows where people come from, those who are making the complaints, in addition to the numbers?
So we have the locations of the complaints.
Okay. Right, where they're complaining, but not necessarily where they're from.
I don't know how much DEP has versus how much Oath has. We'll have to get back to you
I think it would be good to have a greater variety of people making the complaints. That's what we're both agreeing on that.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Then finally, this is just the overall, decades, but your data, health department certainly says, what is healthy, what's not, neighborhood-based, great, et cetera. I guess my question is, how do you measure, maybe you do this, that, this truck route changes, these number of vehicles are less polluting, et cetera, and that it brings down or brings up the quality of the air. How do you figure that? In other words, how do you say East Harlem, asthma, we know well, how do we get the asthma down? This and this and this will make the difference. Is that something that you do, or is that just a bigger picture that's not done at this time?
So I guess I would point you back. This is something that's very important to us, is thinking about how can we be as concrete as possible.
Exactly.
About
I'm terrible at rhetoric. Yes.
Specific policy or specific programs, and what are the actual air quality and health benefits that we would achieve. And we actually worked with academic partners to create our ZAPA, is zip code, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to.
I saw it listed in here. I saw it listed in here, yep.
So ZAPA, which is a tool that allows anyone, but is particularly valuable for policymakers, people who are doing these types of programs. They can put in what is the change that we anticipate making, and then it'll spit out like, this is amount that we would see the air quality improve. This is what that translates into actual lives saved, hospitalizations averted, and also costs. So we are actively trying to do that, and we encourage you to check out the tool, and we're happy to provide trainings on that as well.
Okay, I mean, not to belabor it because time is up, but I think that's the kind of thing that should be pushed heavily. And obviously the layperson can help, but it would seem to me that the agency should be pushing the community and all agencies to do the same, whatever the metrics are, to get the number to be satisfactory in terms of the air quality. I don't know that the layperson's gonna be completely, it would be great for you to work with some of the community boards so that they can do that same effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Brewer. It's my pleasure to recognize Councilmember Ressler for questions.
Thank you, Chair Gennaro, and thank you for your leadership and giving us the opportunity to hear so many great bills. I really want to just thank my colleagues, Councilmembers Aviles and Menon and Brewer, and, oh, I don't know, sorry, Gail, you were just in my head, but not Brewer, Powers, Caban, for introducing such great legislation that I'm enthusiastic to support. I'd like to firstly just start by letting the record show that on May 12th of this year, I wrote an op-ed in AM New York praising the Adams administration. I get told that I'm too mean to the other side of City Hall, so I just want the record. Alfonso, you got that for your notes? It's already noted, good. I get told I'm too mean, so I want the record to show praising the work of Keith Kerman and DCAS for the city's fleet reduction. So the announcement was a 4% fleet reduction, if I recall correctly. How are we doing? Could we get a progress update?
Thank you very much, and good to be with you again.
Appreciate your work.
So
I agree with Gail. You're fabulous.
Too high a standard, you know. If I get my family to say that, it'd be great. But so, all right. So where are we right now? And I'm going to cite what will come out in the PMMR. And so we are still working from the PMMR period, and there'll be other public discussion of this. But I'll just cite what will come out in the PMMR in a couple weeks. And that's through October 30th. So that isn't necessarily the full scope of where we are. So the 4-month actual fleet, the total fleet size in the PMMR will be 28,865, and that will be down from 29,601 from the fiscal year 22 4-month.
And remind me, the goal again is to get to 24,500?
It was, yes, it was 855 vehicles.
Oh, it was 800.
So we're making a lot of progress on that. We are 75 to 80% of the way there, and then there'll be future discussion of when we get to the target. But we have been working. I can assure you there is no other topic I work on more in my life than this, and we're far down. We're in the if you're a football fan, we're in the red zone.
I appreciate to hear that we're already making some solid progress, and I think that as somebody the representative for downtown Brooklyn, we see just an expansive city fleet that takes over our streets every day and that doesn't follow the rules when it comes to parking. The Department of Sanitation isn't even allowed to ticket city vehicles that fail to comply with alternate side parking. They don't have the mechanism to do it, which I find baffling. But we need to dramatically reduce the size of the city fleet and get people on city bikes, like me. So the next set of questions I had related to air quality, so I will, I think, go to Carly on these. Could you just share with us the type of, my understanding is there's resistance to Councilmember Aviles' bill in part because of you already have such a wide prevalence of existing air monitoring. As somebody who represents a large swath of the BQE, could you tell us about the air monitoring that you have in place, particularly around the triple cantilever structure? Or to the DEP team, thank you.
Sure, thank you for the question. So As previously discussed, the NICAS survey is designed to specifically monitor the variety of different areas around the city and the different emission sources. One example would be very heavy use thoroughfares like the BQE. And so we have monitors around the city at places that represent that type of pollution. And then we use traffic data in our models as one of the emission sources as we generate then the overall picture and neighborhood to neighborhood differences.
So looking at that same modeling and thinking about those differences, one of the things that the administration's indicated that they're seriously considering, if not intent on, is 3 lanes of traffic up from 2 lanes of traffic by the triple cantilever. What would be the impacts from an air quality standpoint on that kind of dramatic increase in car and truck traffic in our community?
So I would defer to our colleagues at DOT about any specific plans, but I will say
But you could speak to it broadly in the modeling, because you're looking at these issues and you understand what it would mean to add 20,000 cars and trucks a day to my community, or 6 million cars and trucks a year, which is clearly one of the issues that this administration is intent on at least considering.
So that is exactly what our, the tool that I was just discussing is designed to do, so that we can actually look at increased levels and put it into the tool.
But share with me your expertise. I'm trying to understand, as somebody who looks at these tools and models, what would be the impacts for that kind of increase that we could see in our community.
So I don't have that answer right now, but that's exactly the kind of thing that we can use these tools for.
Do you think it would improve air quality in our community?
So if I was just
Do you think it would
if you'll let me
improve the
finish,
asthma rates? No, please.
I think that we all, like, we know that traffic specifically drives air quality, that this is one of the drivers of differences across the city. When we see more traffic, we know that there's going to be worse air quality, and if we see less traffic, we're going to see improvements. And that's one of the reasons we have all of these focus in our administration and in our work around trying to make the traffic that is on our streets be more electric and be lower emissions, and also trying to think about ways to change modes and hopefully encourage other options.
So clearly detrimental to our air quality, to public health, would be seriously problematic for our community.
Increased traffic means increased emissions, and increased emissions is worse for public health.
Oh, and I just want to chime in that we are seeking to build as narrow of a roadway as possible. And I know my team has discussed this with you, and you've been at the meetings and everything, but we're interested.
Who are you again? I'm sorry.
I'm with Department of Transportation, Miranda Alquist, Assistant Director of, Miranda Alquist, Assistant Director of Legislative Affairs at DOT.
Okay.
So we are seeking to build as narrow of a roadway as possible. We're interested in exploring HOV, BRT, and other possibilities, but we must also adhere to federal standards when constructing the highway, and NYSDOT, New York State DOT, and FHWA must ultimately sign off on the design proposal.
Have you consulted with the state or feds on this increased number of lanes?
I think this is all in process right now.
Okay, because I've been told you haven't, but that so look, I'm not gonna, it's not fair to you for me to rake you over the coals over this. So I will bite my tongue, but I've made my point, and the public health implications of what you all are considering are widely known and understood, as your own colleagues in government have attested to just now. So I hope that you all have seen the light and will not try to pursue 6 million additional cars a day in my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Ressler, and I have advice for the administration. It's just give Councilman Ressler like what he wants. He's going to get it anyway, and I'm going to help him. And so resistance is futile, you know. So thank you, Lincoln. And with that said, I have no more questions for the panel. We certainly appreciate the administration's indulgence. The great panel that was sent here to ask hard questions, to answer hard questions, and we look forward to keeping the discussion going. So thank you all very much. And Keith, always good to see you. Everyone else also good to see you. I just like to hear from Alfonso. Just want to make sure that someone from the administration is going to stay behind to listen to all the good testimony that's coming, right? Okay, so you have an individual in mind for that, right? Okay, great. I just want to make sure that the people who are going to be heard now are going to be heard by the administration as well. Thank you all very much. Thank you. I just have to get a glass of water, and so the council will call the first 3 witnesses. I'll be back in 2 minutes, then we can hear all the good testimony that, yet to come. I'll be right back.
Daniel Chu.
That was longer than 2 minutes, but when I was downstairs getting my glass of water, I bumped into none other than the speaker, you know, and so we always take these opportunities to kind of, you know, have some interaction. So that was a nice moment and productive. So, I ran up the stairs. So, okay. Oh, well, these people are here. Is that the way we do it?
Okay, well, it's up to you.
Yeah, I think the people that are here have been sitting and waiting.
Okay.
You know, they came out, it's going to be snowing and everything, so.
So then, and then
All this is on the record, by the way. 100 years from now, they're going to hear this conversation. They're going to be able to read it. Yeah, we're on the record.
Okay.
So.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so I appreciate everyone that's come to testify. You know, it's incredible, you know, perseverance and commitment to wait hours to talk for 2 minutes. And so we do appreciate it. Have my legislative director as well as all the committee staff. So, you know, we got the 18, you know, the other members, you know, are good to have, but I'm the chair and you have my undivided attention. I'm turning my phone over, okay? I'm not even gonna look at it. So whoever is going to speak first, just state your name and proceed with your good testimony.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackson Chabot, and I'm the Director of Advocacy and Organizing at Open Plans, an over 20-year-old nonprofit dedicated to safe and livable streets. I want to start by commending this committee on their practical, common-sense solutions to making our streets safer and healthy places. I'm here today to testify in support specifically of Intro 606 and 684. This is the New York we all deserve. The choice is clear. You must pass 606 and 684. Research shows vehicular-related air pollution, which is neurotoxic, has been causally linked to strokes, heart attacks, cancer, mental health illness, and dementia. In children, it has been associated with low birth weight, delays in brain maturation, behavioral problems, and learning issues. This information should scare us all, and yet, companies operating truck and bus fleets still have free roam over our city as much as pigeon swarms do. These bills must pass so that we can protect our youngest New Yorkers, those walking to 3K or in strollers, and our oldest New Yorkers who cannot sit outside because the air quality is so bad and whose lungs are most vulnerable, as Councilmember Avila specifically pointed out in her communities. On top of this, particulate levels are highest nearest roadways, and those using the nearby sidewalks, bike lanes, and plazas face the highest immediate exposure, especially if they're playing and exercising or spending a lot of time there, as Councilmember Gutierrez pointed out about the park in her district. Just considering this reality makes me cringe. What we're saying is that corporations' selfish choice to ignore readily available anti-idling measures is more important than the air we all breathe. We also need design solutions. If we don't want trucks and buses idling, then we need to give them places to actually park, and we need to dramatically expand and enforce loading zones. Just this morning, I saw delivery trucks parked on an elevated bus stop at the corner of Broadway and Franklin, idling away. Not a care in the world. We need action now, and we cannot delay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your advocacy on these bills. We appreciate the support.
Good afternoon. My name is Alia Sumro, and I'm the Deputy Director for New York City Policy at the New York League of Conservation Voters. Thank you, Chair Gennaro and members of the Committee on Environmental Protection for the opportunity to testify today. We have submitted longer written comments. New York City is one of the country's highest rates of asthma hospitalizations and deaths among children, young adults, Black and Latino residents, and residents of high poverty neighborhoods. Poor air quality leads to poor health outcomes such as respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, especially for vulnerable populations such as seniors, children, and people of color due to structural racism and historic disinvestment. NYLCV supports intros 606, 684, and 707, all of which would work towards reducing the amount of pollutants in the air and improving public health. Intros 606 and 684 would curb vehicular idling so preventable adverse health effects can be averted. NYLCV also supports Intro 707 because this bill would provide badly needed air quality data and shed light on the heavy air pollution burden that low-income and communities of color bear, especially with the proliferation of last-mile facilities since the start of the pandemic. NYLCV broadly supports the intent of Intro 279, which is to convert the nation's largest municipal fleet to zero-emission vehicles, cut down on the city's greenhouse gas emissions, and address environmental injustices. While we support the bill's requirements for light-duty vehicles, we have concerns about the feasibility of the timeline for medium and heavy-duty vehicles, such as garbage and fire trucks and school buses. We were proud to advocate with our partners for Local Law 120 of 2021, a nation-leading law that requires the city to ensure that all school buses in use by September of 2035 be all-electric zero-emission school buses, in addition to the fiscal 2023 state budget that requires all school bus purchases statewide to be zero-emission starting in 2027. Since aggressive existing city and state electric school bus laws were carefully negotiated with many stakeholders, we need to find a valid reason for it to be revisited. NYLCV would support the provisions of Intro 279 if the city were to find the timelines for medium and heavy-duty vehicles feasible given the city's requirements in its capital process, or if there are amendments to the bill timeline so it better balances an ambitious timeline with practicality. We encourage the City Council to continue collaborating with advocates, city agencies such as OMB and DCAS, Con Ed, and NACRID. We also urge the city to produce a plan on capital spending and charging infrastructure for medium and heavy-duty vehicles under the bill's timeline to identify challenges and solutions to implementation, such as charging infrastructure, funding, and any procurement issues. NYLCV is encouraged by these air quality bills.
Yeah.
We believe that Intro 279 should be amended, and we would be happy to work with the City Council, other advocates, and this city government. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, thank you. I go back with the League of Conservation Voters since it was founded by Paul Elston, probably a name you don't even know. But he's the one that founded it 30-some-odd years ago when I had black hair. Give my best to Julie, Josh, and everyone at LCV. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Gennaro, for holding this hearing. My name is Daniel Chu. I am the Energy Planner with the New York City Environmental Justice Alliance. While air pollution impacts from transportation and energy sector affects us all, low-income communities and communities of color suffer disproportionately from respiratory problems and caused by air pollution. This is why NEJA is a member of the PEAK Coalition, which also includes UPROS, the Point CDC, New York Lawyers for the Public Interest, and Clean Energy Group. Our goal is to end the long-term standing pollution burden from power plants on the city's most climate-vulnerable people. PEAK Coalition supports Intro 612. Fossil fuel generation is a major source of emissions in New York City. We support this bill because it ensures that our municipal government is engaged with the enormous health risks, climate emissions, and utility costs associated with dirty fossil fuel power plants, many of which can be replaced by renewable energy, battery storage, and transmission upgrades by 2030. The Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability should also make tracking of power plant emissions and Title V permit compliance publicly accessible. The city should also take necessary and adequate steps to notify the public about any Title V non-compliances. This bill can also incentivize the mitigation, retirement, and replacement of these facilities with emissions-free solutions. For example, the city could undertake increased air quality monitoring when any power generator or other Title V air permit holder is found to be out of compliance. Data from this air monitoring could be incorporated into the comments by the city makes in permit renewal proceedings to, among other factors such as a history of repeated violations, call for the state to impose the maximum penalties under state and local laws. The city can also explore ways to take action before the permit holder is out of compliance by taking preemptive or long-term planning measures to reduce that possibility. NEJA is also supportive of Intros 279, Intro 606, and Intro 684, and Intro 707. Requiring the city to pursue zero-emission trucks will accelerate the elimination of diesel emissions, designate heavy-use thoroughfares to mitigate the impact of a massive uptick in last-mile warehouses in our city, and expand on the sensitive receptors to include parks and green spaces that are impacted by vehicle idling that can help reduce tailpipe emissions, improve the lives of New Yorkers, and tackle climate change. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, and please give my best regards to Eddie.
Yeah.
And I ask this panel and everyone who's going to testify here or through the television, if they would be so kind as to submit their remarks in writing, and the staff can tell you how to do that. I don't even know how that works. How does it work? Why don't we say it on the record? We just want the stuff, because we go through this and we pick out good environmental ideas, then I write laws and take credit for them. That's how that works. You got to turn on the microphone.
Testimony at council? Okay.
Testimony at council.nyc.gov. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next panel. What, did we call them already? Did you call the next panel already?
No, I'm calling them now.
Oh, okay. You know what we'll do is we'll call the next panel and then the panel after that.
Okay. So, Joel Cooperman, Patrick Schnell, and Jason Dragseth.
That's this panel, and the next panel is...
And the next panel...
is on deck.
Is Andrew Fox, Graham Van Korf, and Leslie Velasquez.
Okay. Joel, why don't we start with you? If you're ready. Is this a panel of 3 or 4?
I thought it was 3.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
the second panel, that's
Yeah,
right.
so we called a panel of 3, and then like the next panel. But the 4th person who came up, you'll just stay for the next panel. That's fine. We're not going to chase you. Yeah. Joel, you're up, buddy. Yeah. Turn on your microphone, talk right into it, and stay as close to 2 minutes as you possibly can. You're a passionate guy. It's hard to do that. I get it, but we're trying to,
Thank you. Joel Kupferman, Environmental Justice Initiative, National Lawyers Guild. I represent several tenant associations, community groups, unions, and the like. The last 5-6 years, I've been concentrating on air monitoring and air pollution and bad exposure problems. Part of the problem, what's missing today in all these proposals, is that we keep on, and as Chairman Gennaro pointed out, we're just getting more and more aggregate data, and not the data that we need to stop the bad pollution that's going on. We are asking, and we've asked before, and I believe the law states it, that those monitors should be moved around to the hot spots to actually create evidence that the Department of Buildings, DEP, and the Health Department could use to stop unfettered construction that's going on. We've learned that unfettered construction leads to the resuspension of soil. Harvard studies have shown that a slight increase in exposure to PM 2.5, the small dust, causes a major increase in COVID death. There's 19,500 tons of soil is uncovered every day in New York, and most of that's at construction sites. Without that monitoring, it's not going to work. We can't stop. The aggregate monitoring at oath hearings and the like is used as an alibi. They're saying that the neighborhood is bad. We're just adding something more. Only when we can get that fine-tuned data, it's there. Also, the rules have to be changed on enforcement. $1.4 billion is uncollected in city fines. So even these small fines that are being imposed, they're literally laughing at me and us in the city for not doing anything. The city has something called the bad actor policy, which we should enforce. We've used that before in bad pesticide spraying. The city ripped up an $8 million contract. So the cities have to do that. They should not give out permits anymore to people with bad construction. And also, part of the problem, I just want to just finish up, is that when we made complaints to DEP, who is here, their air quality people go out, they measure, and they also tell us they can't stop any bad construction sites, that it's up to the Department of Buildings. So there's less than any coordination that they talked about. And in many other cases, we found intrusion of toxic soils and PM 2.5 from brownfield sites. The city health department refused to register or to measure that dust inside the buildings that are adjoining sites. So part of the problem is just going back.
Please conclude.
Okay,
You
but
gotta
I really
conclude.
urge that it's the enforcement part that's there. No more just aggregate sampling. It's aspirational, and it's really important to stop the city from, allowing bad pollution to go on. But there's laws on the books that we can concentrate and make them stop.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Joel. But I think we did a pretty good job here today making that point. I do think we did. And Nabby, I want to make the note to you about all of the uncollected fines. If you touch base with Joel after he steps down, I want to hear more about that. Next witness, please. Thank you, Joel.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Schnell. I'm a board-certified pediatrician, and I spent many years treating children in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, and I'd like to thank the council for the opportunity to testify. I'm testifying in support of the anti-idling bills, Intro 684 and 606. As we all know, air pollution is associated with asthma exacerbations, so it will not surprise you that I spent a lot of time treating asthma in the Bronx. The Bronx has some of the worst air quality and asthma rates in the country. Air quality is even worse in proximity to major highways, and children living close to such highways are much more likely to require hospitalization for asthma. These children miss school days from illness or hospitalization. They have poor sleep quality, affecting attention span and learning ability. They suffer side effects from asthma medications, and they may be socially ostracized due to inability to fully participate in sports. Physicians and politicians have known about this for decades. But what have you done about it? In 2022, vehicular traffic in New York is worse than ever, and idling continues unabated as it has for decades. Current idling laws don't prevent the big companies that have accumulated hundreds or even thousands of idling tickets from continuing to idle. Sadly, we seem to have accepted that kids in the Bronx will suffer from asthma. So let me tell you about other critical health effects. Exposure to traffic-related air pollution, especially diesel fumes, affects brain development and intellectual development in children. Air pollution is neurotoxic, impacting the brain and the nervous system. Children exposed in utero and in early life to high levels of air pollution from truck traffic more often suffer from premature birth, low birth weight, delays in brain maturation, and learning issues. Later in life, they often have reduced attention span, memory issues, and are at higher risk of developing autism and mental health issues. But not only children are affected. Even adults can develop cognitive impairment and even dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and Parkinson's disease as a result of traffic-related air pollution. And finally, air pollution causes about a quarter of all lung cancer, strokes, and heart attacks. Air pollution has been called the new tobacco and a silent health emergency by the WHO. It kills almost 10 million people annually worldwide. No New Yorker breathes air meeting WHO's standards for clean air. Air pollution is reducing every New Yorker's life expectancy by months or even years. So why do we accept this? There's no valid justification for idling. We need to take decisive action. Clean air does not just happen. Clean air is a societal responsibility and a political choice. It is up to us to protect the most vulnerable members of our society. Idling substantially contributes to air pollution in New York City. It is our obligation to create effective deterrents that will result in behavior change. The current fines for idling are clearly insufficient. Idling pollutes our children's future and all of our health. It is beyond time that we did something about it.
Thank you, Doctor. I certainly appreciate and admire, and I'm grateful, to your dedication to children as you treat them and to the conditions that make them sick in the first place. Thank you very much for your dedication. Next witness.
This on?
Press the button, red light. Okay.
All right, ready to go. So I'm Jason Dragseth. I'm here as a private citizen. I'm a constituent of Council Member Powers. So appreciate the sponsorship of 279 and wanted to speak briefly about that. Based on the comments that were made here today, it sounds like there's alignment between the council and the administration on going to electric vehicles. Issue will be timing of when the vehicles can become available. My understanding through my involvement with some civic organizations, including the Sierra Club that I'm a member of, is that electric vehicles are available in all categories, light, medium, and heavy. So I would not accept an assumption that they are not available in the
We're
heavy
going to get to the
category.
bottom of that. Yeah, like we're going to get to the bottom of that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. And further, a major commitment by a city like New York City to develop heavy vehicles, medium vehicles, low, will arguably accelerate development by these companies of those vehicles. So I don't think the council should back down on timing of this legislation, and in fact, it can be an agent for quicker change if the city steps up and makes a commitment. So that's kind of some of the feedback that I had for the committee based on what I heard here today. Lastly, one issue that was not mentioned with respect to going electric vehicles to electric vehicles is the noise reduction. Internal combustion engines are very loud, and electric vehicles are very quiet. And so the whole issue of noise pollution, I understand there's particulate matter and asthma and other issues, but noise reduction is a major should be a major emphasis for the city council, and going electric will help reduce noise. So thanks. Wanted to make that comment because no one had talked about that.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to get used to my electric vehicle. I leave the car and it's like on, you know, and why is it dinging at me? Because the thing's still on. So I'm used to the noise, but making your point that my car doesn't make a sound, and so.
And garbage trucks are very loud. They come through the block every couple.
Yeah, they're loud.
A couple times every week, and they're very loud.
Thank you to this panel. I appreciate it. We have the first member of the next panel already with us, and the other two who were previously called. And as the next two members of this panel come up, we're going to read out the next panel who should get ready.
Okay.
Joe, you're killing me. You're killing me. I didn't know of such a thing, but thank you for bringing it to our attention. And I think, yes, whoever is the third member of this panel should come forward and...
So it was Wayne Arden, Hunter Cervini, and Leslie Velasquez.
Now that's this panel, right?
Yeah, and then the next panel is Graham Van Korff, Andrew Fox, and Kyra Armstrong.
Okay, so that panel will be next. Please, make sure the red light's on.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the Committee of Environmental Protection. My name is Leslie Vasquez. I'm a Clean Air Program Coordinator at South Bronx Unite, which is an organization to advance equity and justice for residents of the South Bronx and frontline communities across the city and state. We are in the midst of a climate crisis, made more and more clear by the growing number of extreme weather events across the city, state, country, and the world. This crisis is a direct result of our dependence and overuse of fossil fuels. We are well past the moment that this dependence has to stop, and we must use every tool at our disposal to do that, including legislation. Communities like the South Bronx, where I work, have suffered far too much and far too long from disproportionate fossil fuel pollution. The Zero Emission Vehicles Bill, which is Intro 279, is a step towards addressing both the climate crisis and the injustice done to communities like the South Bronx. The bill would also help the city reach its climate goals, reduce the toxic air pollution that disproportionately harms historically marginalized communities, and strengthens the city's economy with the creation of green jobs. Without this bill, the city will continue to utilize diesel and gas-fueled vehicles that continue to emit toxins like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, particulate matter, and nitrogen oxide, just to name a few. The repercussions that follow the city's compliance to carbon-emitting vehicles are experienced by the communities who can afford it the least. For communities like the South Bronx, asthma rates are already one of the highest in the country, and children and teenagers visit emergency rooms with respiratory illnesses at rates twice the city's average. We cannot afford to endure additional respiratory illnesses, and we cannot afford to wait another year without government action. The city's continued reliance on fossil fuel fleet will only further pollute our air and worsen the climate crisis. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I thank South Bronx Unite for their good testimony. I wish to be associated with these remarks. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of the Brooklyn Borough President, Antonio Reynoso. Thank you, Chair Gennaro and members of the committee for holding this hearing today. While the Borough President supports all efforts to improve our city's air quality, I want to focus specifically on Intro 707, which the Borough President introduced last term and reintroduced this term with Councilmember Aviles, whose Brooklyn community is deeply impacted by air pollution and associated health impacts. The Borough President's office is currently undertaking a comprehensive planning effort for Brooklyn. We are still in the information gathering phase, but we can already tell you that after looking at all kinds of data, a pattern emerges in which lower income communities of color have worse outcomes than wealthier white communities for nearly every metric we've measured. Environmental factors such as air quality are no exception. According to the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, no neighborhood in Brooklyn falls within the WHO's recommended target level for fine particulate matter, PM 2.5. But the worst levels occur in the environmental justice communities of Greenpoint, Williamsburg, and Bushwick, the BQE corridor, including Gowanus, Red Hook, and Sunset Park, and the East Flatbush-Brownsville border along Linden Boulevard. Unsurprisingly, asthma rates are high in all these neighborhoods, especially in eastern Brooklyn. As shown by the map below, for those who can see it, concentrations of these pollutants are directly associated with truck routes in high-traffic areas, which should be a surprise to no one. This is not a small problem. The DOHMH estimates that 1 in 20 premature deaths every year in New York City happen because someone's health condition was exacerbated by breathing PM 2.5. The DOHMH notes that children are particularly impacted because they breathe more air than adults relative to their body weight. Their exposure is higher to the same amount of pollution, which can lead to both acute and chronic illnesses. Consistent and accurate reporting prompts action, and the existing data is insufficient. The DOHMH data referenced here comes from projections based on limited monitoring. New efforts by the state focuses only on specific disadvantaged communities, and environmental justice groups have spent too long doing this work on their own, covering limited geographies. This legislation will require the city to conduct consistent monitoring at heavy-use thoroughfares and adjacent parks and playgrounds citywide. The more information we have, the better, because everyone deserves clean air to breathe. Thank you for holding this hearing today and for allowing me the time to address why we all need to support Intro 707 and continue to put the health of New Yorkers and future generations first.
Thank you very much for being here on the Borough President's behalf. We appreciate it. He was a great council colleague. He's a great Borough President, and he continues to champion the right things. Please give him our best wishes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hunter Severini, and I'm here to speak in support of 606 and 684. As a long-term resident of Lower Manhattan, I notice trucks idling virtually every time I leave my apartment. It is clear to me that the current fines are not enough to encourage the necessary changes in behavior by the transportation industry. Despite the ever-increasing amount of enforcement, idling remains a persistent and widespread problem. The proposed bills will help this by immediately increasing both enforcement and compliance. Considering finite resources, I believe this is the only effective option available to quickly address a problem that threatens the health and livelihoods of millions of people. After much research, it is clear to me that although New York City is a leader when it comes to environmental laws, we could still be doing much better. Other cities, such as Los Angeles, are looking at our policies as a model, and it is imperative that we continue to innovate and set a good example. 606 is obviously well crafted because it encourages commercial vehicles not to idle around parks and playgrounds, where there is a high concentration of children. 684 is likewise necessary to make a more significant impact using existing resources by increasing idling fines, which currently do not appear to be sufficient to discourage the practice of idling. For these and many other reasons, I fully support both bills. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for coming here to testify on behalf of this good legislation. Every voice helps. Thank you very much.
The next,
Well, the next panel knows who they are. How about the panel after that? And so the panel after this one is who? What's that?
well, the thing is now we're up to the Zoom.
Okay, yeah, so let's just do the last two witnesses.
So we have two witnesses, Mo Yang Thong and Deborah Wright, and then we have Christopher Goarecki on Zoom.
Okay, so we have the last two in-person witnesses are these, right?
That's right. These
And
are
then we
the
go to
last two
Zoom.
in-person
Okay.
witnesses.
Will the other person come forward? Here we go. You said two, I count three. Well, everyone can just state their name for the record and they'll go into the record, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, people pop in, looks like a fun place to be, I get it, okay.
These aren't done?
Okay, this gentleman was the first to be seated, so we'll go from my right to my left, please. Please state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Chair Gennaro. My name is Wayne Harden, and members of the Environmental Protection. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about this critical bill, Intro 279. I'm here to testify on behalf of the Sierra Club. I serve as a volunteer for the New York City Sierra Club Group, where I am chair of the Transportation Committee. The Sierra Club is in strong support of this legislation, the Zero Emissions Vehicles for New York City Act. This bill will ensure that the city is doing its part to address climate change, improve public health by cleaning up our air, and position New York City as a national leader in sustainability. The existing law regarding low-emission vehicles in the municipal fleet was enacted in 2005. It has served its purpose, and the time has come to update it, given advances in zero-emission vehicle technology and availability, as well as the urgency of the climate crisis. The Sierra Club is submitting detailed written testimony on the many reasons to pass this bill. Today, I'd like to comment on feasibility. The city can absolutely meet the benchmarks of this bill. In every single vehicle category applicable to New York City, with one exception, zero emission vehicles from multiple suppliers manufactured in the United States are available today. Regarding charging infrastructure, we urge the city to leverage private sector expertise to accelerate the transition from oil to electricity. Many companies, including those headquartered here in New York, are eager to help. And the federal government has made billions of dollars available for cities to purchase zero-emission vehicles and to install infrastructure. By 2020, Shenzhen, China, had deployed its entire fleet of 16,000 buses to all-electric models. That's approximately the same number of heavy-duty vehicles that are in our fleet. This bill calls for New York City to make the same transition by 2035, some 15 years later. This city council set bold but achievable goals for decarbonizing New York City's building sector with Local Law 97. We can do the same for our transportation fleet by passing the Zero Emission Vehicles for New York City Act. Thank you again for holding this hearing and the council's leadership on electric vehicles.
Thank you, and I want to thank the Sierra Club. When I wrote the 2005 bill, I got great support from the Sierra Club back then, and here we are 17 years later. It's good we haven't aged, you know. Anyway, so thank you again.
Members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity to speak on Intro 279. My name is Mo-Yang Tom, and I'm the New York Policy Researcher with Jobs Team of America. We are a strategic policy organization focused on making sure our public investments do the most public good, creating high-quality jobs and healthier communities. While we recognize the importance and need to accelerate the electrification of New York City's municipal fleet, we believe this process should also ensure a good transition for impacted workers and create community-sustaining manufacturing jobs. With New York City's 30,000 municipal vehicles, the city can shape the market and ensure that the purchasing process creates high-quality jobs in the growing electric vehicle sector. JMA believes this bill should include significant labor provisions to protect jobs and encourage manufacturers to commit to good wages, benefits, and training. JMA recommends the addition of 2 amendments. The inclusion of a workforce development report would require purchasing agencies to evaluate the numbers of jobs created or lost, possible skill gaps, as well as a comprehensive plan to train, retrain, and transition existing drivers and mechanics to work on electric vehicles. The inclusion of good job procurement policy. This would allow purchasing agencies to utilize a competitive best value procurement process in order to encourage bidders to compete up to win the contract. Bidders are given extra credit for proposing good wages, benefits, and retraining, such as training diesel fuel mechanics to safely work on electric vehicles. Once the bidder wins the project, these commitments become enforceable in the contract. As New York City continues to address the ongoing climate crisis, we encourage your committee to support the addition of these 2 amendments in order to ensure the transition to electric vehicle does not adversely impact unionized municipal fleet workers and the transition creates good manufacturing jobs. Also, we encourage the committee to consider the testimony submitted by SEIU Local 246 and New York City Central Labor Council, since they were not able to attend in person, and they are in alignment with these recommendations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much from that to add this labor perspective to this issue. I'm glad you brought that forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Deborah Wright, and I am the Political Director for United Auto Workers Region 9A. Our region encompasses the Northeast states, and we represent approximately 33,000 members within the region in a diverse array of industries. Nationally, the UAW represents 250,000 active members in motor vehicle and parts manufacturing, which includes light vehicle assembly, heavy truck assembly, powertrain, and school bus assembly. The big 3 car manufacturers have already begun to transition production to electric vehicles, which we support, with GM committing to be all electric by 2035. It is important to note that we also represent 1,400 members building school buses, both internal combustion engine and electric, at Thomas Built and IC Bus Navistar. UAW contracts at all these employers provide industry-leading wages and benefits sector-wide. For some time, the UAW has partnered with many environmental groups across the country, quickly working to help shape policy to combat the devastating effects of climate change on our communities. The UAW supports policies to create a sustainable future. Sustainability is more than just green technologies, however. It is also sustainable jobs and sustainable communities. With the massive public investment directed to electric vehicles, we have an opportunity and a responsibility to ensure that those investments are also investments in workers and communities. It is not enough to simply say green jobs are good jobs without ensuring that workers are not left behind. For manufacturing workers, there is risk in the industrial transformation that is going to come with the transition to electric vehicles. Workers are concerned about their jobs, but smart procurement policy can support good union manufacturing jobs and protect the planet by investing in electric vehicles. Although we appreciate the need to accelerate the electrification of New York City's municipal fleet, Intro 279 is missing critical labor provisions to ensure a just transition for impacted workers and to create community-sustaining manufacturing jobs. The public procurement process must be more than just buying goods and services and always looking for the lowest bid to save money. There needs to be policies that protect the rights of workers to organize and bargain without fear, intimidation, and retaliation. That is why we are working together with Jobs to Move America and other coalitions of environmental and community groups to support their work in tying procurement to strong commitments to workers and communities. We are in agreement with the 2 amendments that Jobs to Move America has talked about today and that are included in my testimony that I already submitted to this council. Thank you.
Thank you. If you have a copy of that, if you just give that to my legislative director, because I want to do a dive into this labor aspect to make sure that the bill reflects. I mean, I go back a long time with the UAW.
Yes.
And with labor in general. So thank you for bringing that forward.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Nabby, right over here is the one who should get that. Okay?
The next panel, Hillary Aden of Earth Justice, Tekkas Krautmonk, and Brian Gattens.
And we apologize to the online people who thought that they were going to be next. We just want to finish with the people in person, and then we'll go to the online witnesses. Why don't we start from my right to my left?
Thank you, Chair Gennaro and committee members, for the opportunity to testify on the important issue of air quality. My name is Hillary A. Dune, and I'm an attorney at Earth Justice, a national environmental law organization. The bills being heard today are critical to realizing New York City's climate and environmental justice commitments, and we thank the bill sponsors and the committee for their work. Earth Justice strongly supports Intro 279, which, as discussed in more detail in written testimony submitted by my colleague Alok Disa, will make the city's fleet electrification commitments binding and be a major step to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and tailpipe pollution. Intro 606, 684, and 707 aim to address the urgent issue of truck pollution by requiring air monitoring and mitigation measures on certain heavily trafficked thoroughfares and expanding and strengthening penalties for idling. Heavy-duty diesel vehicles are responsible for approximately half of on-road tailpipe emissions in the city, emit significant greenhouse gases, have a disproportionate impact on low-income communities and communities of color, and emit particulate matter and precursors to ozone, which can cause damage to the airways, heart attacks, strokes, lung cancer, and more severe and frequent asthma attacks. The New York City metropolitan area suffers from persistently poor air quality and exceeds federal air quality standards for ozone. Vehicle emissions are a significant contributor to existing ozone levels and are a main driver of neighborhood-level variation in air quality, which concentrates pollution in low-income communities and communities of color. To combat this dire public health issue, we need to reduce truck traffic and emissions rapidly, especially in communities where truck use is concentrated. Instead, the opposite is happening. Trucks now deliver more than 2.4 million packages every day in the city. Some predict a 67% increase in truck volume in the city by 2045, or an additional 75,000 trucks on the street each day. The proliferation of last-mile warehouses compounds these problems by increasing the total number of truck trips for deliveries throughout the city. In the past few years, low-income communities of color in the city have become the last-mile warehouse epicenter. We commend the City Council for taking steps to address trucks that are currently on the road and look forward to working with the city to address, mitigate, and where possible, prevent an increase of truck traffic in the months and years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Always great to have Earth Justice in the house. I knew you would be here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gennaro and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to testify for the bill Intro 279. My name is Taurus. I'm CEO and founder of Tar4 Motorcycles, which is one of the few electric vehicle manufacturers based right here in New York City. And so we create electric motorcycles based out of Brooklyn Navy Yard. In the last 5 years, we've been in development, and this year started shipping our very first vehicles. And we noticed a big change in the consumer mindset in terms of hunger and appetite to adopt electrical vehicles. But there seems to be a lot of dissonance and lack of information from both the government, but also from the manufacturers that are advancing electrification. So we see there's a big opportunity for the city to lead and prove that electrical vehicles are advantageous in many other aspects besides just carbon emissions, and also support local manufacturing, training the workforce that would like to go away from fossil fuels and embrace electrical vehicle transportation. And just, yeah, big fan of making our cities greener, focus on lightweight mobility, and bring awareness that there's more sustainable ways to move around in the city. Thanks so much.
Thank you. You know, a lot of people talk about electric vehicles. A lot of people talk about how much they want them. You're actually out there doing it, and so we certainly appreciate and applaud your efforts. And the fact that you're doing it here, right in New York City, makes it all the more sweet. Now, I'm glad to know of your activities and your business, and please keep in touch.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You'll see our bikes on the streets very soon. They call them the Tesla motorcycles, but that remains to be seen in a few years.
Okay. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the chance to speak to the chair and to the committee today. I want to take my couple minutes to emphasize to the chair and to the committee and to the council the significance and the importance of the anti-idling program that the city has. And it truly is a crown jewel of the city's environmental efforts. It's something that the city should be very proud of. And no other city in the country, and as far as I know, no other city in the world has enforcement of idling like New York City does. It is truly something that I'm proud of as a New Yorker, and the city should take great pride in. And in the couple years that I've been keeping an eye on idling as I'm walking the streets, the program is making a difference. Just anecdotally, and it's hard to measure this because there's so many obviously because there's so many factors involved in air pollution, so many pluses and minuses all over the place. But anecdotally, I can just tell you, for example, Verizon used to run their trucks all day long. Every truck you passed on the street was on, and that's totally changed now. Almost every truck that I pass now with somebody eating lunch inside or whatever might be, the truck is now off. It's significant. It's making a real difference. As the council knows, idling has been unlawful in New York City for 50 years. And it's unlawful in many parts of the country, but New York is actually doing something about it. Idling is the low-hanging fruit in environmental change. All it takes is a flick of the wrist, turn the engine off, and other things that are beneficial, adopting electric vehicles, et cetera. They're important, but they're tough. This is not tough. Idling, all it takes is to flick the wrist and turn the vehicle off. So I just want to emphasize in favor of 606 and 684 and the idling program in general in the city. Now is not the time to let it be watered down, and I'm very happy that the council is not letting it be watered down and in fact is strengthening it. One thing that the council may want to put an eye toward or take a look at is that city permits are still being issued to agencies or rather companies that have large amounts of outstanding fines for idling and for other violations. I know this has been looked at many times in the past because there's such significant ECB debt, but it's still happening. Nothing has changed on that. So maybe that's something that the council can turn its attention towards in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, that's something we're looking at, and when Joel mentioned it, that really got my attention. I didn't really know there was that many outstanding fines, but we got to do something about that. And so good things come out of every hearing, and this is one of them. I thank this panel very much. I appreciate it. And with that, okay, we have to...
Can I call them?
And thank you, Alfonso, for staying yourself. My God, I didn't, I thought you were going to task it, but here you are. Appreciate that.
And on Zoom, Christopher Gawarecki.
It's going to show up on here?
I don't know.
I'm going to see it on
You
here?
should.
Am I going to see it on this here? On the big screens? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. And
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your
taking
patience.
my statement today. My name is Christopher Gabarecki. I am the Customer Compliance Manager for Hub Truck Rental Corporation. I'm going to be the bad guy here. I got all these trucks behind me. But I just wanted to, specifically for Intro 684, we're seeing these citizens idling. It comes to us directly. The biggest problem we see is we own all of the trucks. There's no transfer of liability option available. So we're going to be classified as a repeat offender. So we lease a truck. We have over 600 lease customers out there. We operate also around 2,500 trucks. Another thing I'd like to bring up is all of our trucks are fitted with diesel particulate filters and DEF, that's diesel after treatment systems, that also qualify for the DEC Clean Truck Program. They're also certified Clean Idle and CARB certified in the state of California, which the state of California exempts our trucks or clean certified idle trucks. They're exempt from idling rules unless it's in a restricted area such as a park or a school. So I just wanted to bring that up. The transfer of liability, which I had mentioned before, is key to us. With all these customers out there, we're getting all of them. And a few people have mentioned that the outstanding fines out there, or they're not bringing the amount of money they'd like to bring in to handle the idling issue. The problem is hearing dates are now scheduled for the third quarter of 2024 for hearing these cases. So that's a huge issue as far as due process. If it would be easier, say like a red light camera ticket or the ability for somebody to just instantly pay the fine. But I'm speaking for over 600 lease customers, and there's going to be a lot of pushback on this if these fines are doubled, because the process now has serious flaws. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. If you would, I've got a question for you. So your company rents trucks, leases trucks, right?
Correct, sir.
Right. And so you lease a truck, rent a truck, somebody takes it, they get an idling ticket. Who gets the ticket? You?
So it depends. So all the trucks are registered to Hub Truck Rental Corporation. It depends on the person issuing the ticket. Most of the time it goes to us because they're all registered under our name. However, there are times where, because the company name is written on the side of the vehicle, that it'll go to them. So, but most of the time it's going to me, and administratively, it's a lot to send out all these tickets to the lease customers, explain to them, and that's the biggest problem we have there. Every truck we rent and lease, and they're 6 and 7 year leases, they all go to us, the majority of them. The other thing I'd like to notice, I forgot to mention, all of our trucks are actually equipped with a 3-minute idle time. So it can be overridden if the driver decides to turn the truck back on or step on the accelerator pedal. But I just wanted to see from our aspect from the industry, because I'm kind of the first person speaking on this from our side, we do see some serious issues here.
He just came in.
So you get the ticket, and it's very difficult for you to reach out to the individual who was renting the truck at the time, but you know who it is, right? You can tell.
No. We're sending. So we're the middleman. We're dishing these tickets out to the lease customers, stating they're responsible. But because they're in Hub Truck Rental's name, we send this to our attorney so they can litigate it. Hearings are approximately now third quarter of 2024 to hear these cases. So that's an awful long amount of time when these things are given out and a hearing is given. We will then receive a stipulation letter settling for $350, and then we issue that to the customer as well, saying if they want to settle it, there's no attorney fee involved, and they can be over and done with. But raising the fines is really not going to solve the problem. It's the delay of hearing dates, which is the major problem.
So when you go to the entity that would adjudicate these tickets, which would be Oath, I presume, right?
Correct.
Because I was the one that took ECB and put it over in Oath, so it wasn't a kangaroo court. At least there's some semblance of jurisprudence that actually goes on there. But you're saying that you're getting dates for 2024 for the adjudication of tickets?
For hearing dates. It'll tell you the date when the violation was committed. It will also give you, well, first of all, when you get the first notice, several notices are sent. One could be from the Secretary of State. Usually the first one is from Oath. And when you get the original violation, it doesn't even give you a plate number so you can identify the truck. So then you go into the ECB, put in the violation number, find out which truck had this. Then we go identify the customer and send that company all the information. So this all is being left out of the conversation on this due process part of it. It's a lot. And we don't want to be, and what's confusing to us is we have several large customers in the Hunts Point area, and they're running trucks that they've gotten through the Clean Trucks program. And our trucks qualify for the Clean Trucks program. But now we're being told we can't get an exemption that our trucks were not that long ago called clean. And all of our trucks have certified clean idle decals on them so they can be identified. We had discussions with the DEP through the Trucking Association of New York. We were looking for an exemption. They stated it has to go through the city council. So, I know I'm the first one stating the opposite side of what I've been hearing today, but I just feel that with over 600 lease customers out there, there's going to be a lot of backlash on this, and it's gonna, we don't want people idling and breaking the law, but this is where we're at, and the due process is the biggest. Second is we're looking for some kind of exemption, because our trucks, if they comply with the Clean Trucks program, why don't they get an exemption?
Okay.
If they're certified.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm not going to, commit to any kind of. I'm also not the author of the bill, although I am the, chair of the committee. I'm going to task the policy analyst for the committee. His name is Ricky Chawla, and you have his contact information because he's a witness, right? Okay. So I want you to have a longer conversation with Ricky. And then that way we can get all of these issues, regarding other people getting tickets and all that. And, I think we should have a good grasp of this when we negotiate this bill. Okay?
Yeah, can I just make one more statement? And thank you for your time. This is very much appreciated.
I'm giving you more attention because you're representing like the counter argument or whatever, or the impact or whatever. I'm not going to give away the store, but I certainly want to hear you out. And so.
No, what I just would like to say is I am a member of the Trucking Association of New York called TANI, and we are always welcome for discussion, meetings, and anything to make this a little bit more of a streamlined process. There's always hiccups, but there's really some key things we would like to discuss, and we're always open for discussion.
I would ask you when you have your conversation with Ricky to make sure that the Trucking Association, which your firm and other firms are part of, we always like to deal with trade organizations, and so that's always a good way for us to get a sense of what's going on with an industry. So we're going to leave it at that. You're going to have a conversation with Ricky, and you guys talk as long as you want, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for bringing this forward.
No problem.
You bet.
Now we have two witnesses here.
Okay, we're going to...
Andrew Fox and Kyra Armstrong. And then we'll go back to
Then we'll go back to the Zoom. Okay, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Fox. I'm honored to present to this distinguished panel. I'm from New York City, and I'm the founder, chairman, and CEO of New York City-based company Charge Enterprises, founded in 2019. We are listed on NASDAQ under the symbol CRGE, and we exist primarily to build the necessary infrastructure and technology to make mass adoption of electric vehicles possible. While Charge supports nationwide EV projects, we have over 150 employees living and working throughout the state of New York. We're also developing electric vehicle charging solutions here for use in New York City. The largest privately owned professional parking management company in New York City, City Parking, appointed Charge to be exclusive EV charging infrastructure provider for their 135 locations. And most recently, Charge and New York City, along with Connected Curb, installed a pilot EV charging program at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. This installation presents the potential for on-street parking and EV charging at scale. Charge supports New York City Municipal Zero Emission Vehicle Bill. I believe that this bill is an important piece of legislation for New York City, and it could be a model for cities' intent on being proactive and getting ahead. The automotive transformation is upon us. It represents a massive change to our economy, and it's irreversible. According to the most recent figures, global auto manufacturers have announced investments totaling $1.2 trillion through 2030. These companies cannot afford to run competing gasoline and electric vehicles for long. The industry builds for the world, and the world is going electric, and automakers are shifting fast. I hope New York City does as well, and I encourage the council to support future EV charging program. Our city needs tens of thousands of chargers for both personal use and government fleet vehicles, and as I said, the transformation is here. Let's not ignore the obvious, and let's plan a timely and manageable purchase program of zero-emission vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you. And to the extent that you want to make your company and what it has to offer known to city government and to the Adams administration. The gentleman sitting right at that table is a representative of the Adams administration at the highest levels, and would be happy to take your information, and so that way you can liaise with people who are interested in your technology in city government.
Yep, we've
Right
grown
there.
from New York City base. We're about a $700 million company in 3 years, and so as you could imagine, the market is growing very, very quickly. And so, be honored to speak to the city.
Okay, yeah, maybe someday I'll be working for you, okay? Just kidding, I'm not looking for another job right now, but good on you. Okay, please.
Good afternoon.
Please turn on your microphone.
So sorry about that. Is it on now?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to speak. I want to first acknowledge Chair Gennaro's patience, responsiveness, and attentiveness during this hearing. I give you full credit for that. You've remained here, and that's incredible.
Thank you.
My name is Kyra Armstrong with the New York Lawyers for the Public Interest. I'm an environmental justice staff attorney. I want to primarily address one bill before you, Intro 279, but we will be submitting written testimony regarding all of the bills before you.
Thank you.
Intro 279 is a crucial piece of legislation that will require New York City to transform its entire fleet of more than 30,000 vehicles to ZEVs. The bill has a purchasing acceleration deadline to begin in 2025 and requiring the full conversion of the municipal fleet by July 2035, and provides New York City with an opportunity to lead and help rapidly scale up domestic production of the several types of EEVs ranging from police to motorcycles to sanitation trucks. This bill also accelerates the purchasing of zero-emission school buses and enhances current law. While the city has piloted programs introducing electric vehicles to its fleet, now is the time to ensure that the city realizes the full benefits of mature electric vehicle technology to protect New York residents and workers and to realize huge savings on fuel and maintenance costs over the lifetime of these vehicles. While we are fully supporting this crucial legislation, we urge the council to consider a few amendments, making this bill even stronger and continuing this council's tradition of advancing environmental justice and aggressively reducing emissions in New York City. Particularly, we urge council to consider amendments that change the purchasing price waiver from 50% to 100%. This broad waiver fails to consider the far lower fuel and maintenance costs of electric vehicles, and that the total cost of owning and operating such vehicles in many cases is competitive with internal combustion vehicles, an expected decline in the upcoming years. The city has already adopted, I can stop there.
Please continue. Just finish. Just conclude.
Yes, the city
I have a soft spot for the New York lawyers, so.
We appreciate it. We would just also recommend that you provide an exemption of school buses from the waivers for medium, light duty, and heavy duty vehicles so that they are standalone. And we also want to consider that our JMA partners have presented amazing amendments today, and whether that becomes a separate piece of legislation or is included in Intro 279, we are fully supportive of that. And we also defer to our Sierra Club partners on any other amendments that they wish to see in Intro 279.
Thank you. And to the extent that you have any ideas, like you just mentioned, regarding any kind of additional legislation that perhaps I myself might want to sponsor, I have my legislative director, Nabby Kaur. You can have that conversation with her. I'm always looking for ideas.
Personally love Nabby and have had the opportunity to meet her, so I will email her.
Okay, sure. You should talk. Okay.
Thank
I mean,
you
at
so
least
much.
You give your information to one another and talk here or later or whatever, as long as the conversation gets done.
I appreciate it so
Thank you very much. All my best to the New York lawyers.
The next witness.
Okay, we're going back to Zoom, right?
Right, back to the Zoom. Dieter Detering, Eric Eisenberg, and Jaron Burke.
I can see myself on TV now, so I'm adjusting my tie. But you got to push it the opposite way than you think it's going to go. Okay.
Your time will begin.
Okay, I'll start. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of Bill 606 and 684, and thank you for the many co-sponsorships that these bills have already received. My name is Dietmar Detering, and I live with my wife and 2 daughters in Sunnyside, Queens. I'm a member of the Anti-Idling Working Group with the DEP. The DEP has done a tremendous job keeping up with a large number of cases involving trucks and buses idling, yet the problem persists. You can walk out of your meeting right now, and within a minute or 2, you will encounter a truck or a bus spewing out toxic gases and particulate matter for no reason whatsoever. I grew up in Germany, and businesses do not let their trucks and buses idle. If it happens, it is so extraordinary that normal citizens will immediately turn their heads and wonder what's going on, and then complain about the unnecessary pollution. Here in our city, however, truck and bus idling is normal, and people breathe in the extra dose of life-shortening and quality of life-reducing fumes without even noticing. Idling is everywhere, despite the enforcement that's done already. We need to change this pro-idling culture, but we're not succeeding. The DEP can testify that idling enforcement comes at a cost to the city. It binds precious resources not available for other important tasks of the department. The obvious answer, higher fines. This will move the fines from a cost of doing business to something that actually changes corporate behavior and lets the DEP focus on other tasks again. The goal and the effect of increasing the fines by Intro 684 is not for the city to make more money off idling vehicles, but to write many fewer tickets and finally reach the goal of the original anti-idling law, an idling-free vehicle culture and cleaner air for all of us. This should also reduce the hearing backlog that Mr. Gawaretsky mentioned in his testimony. Please support Intro 684. In regards to Intro 606, this bill creates more consistency with the existing rules against idling around schools. If you oppose idling in front of schools, then you should also oppose idling next to parks and playgrounds. Please support Intro 606 as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm already a proud sponsor of all those bills, and I agree with you. Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Eric Eisenberg.
Your time will begin.
Hi, I'm here to speak on behalf of anti-idling intros 606 and 684. I'm a local attorney and volunteer on the anti-idling working group along with Dietmar, arranged by the DEP and other citizens and other persons. We advise the DEP on New York City's existing idling law and how best to enforce it. The enforcement is directed against companies whose trucks and buses' engines, despite not moving the vehicle or doing anything useful, nonetheless spew exhaust. New York City's 1972 idling law allows running engines to operate work and refrigeration equipment, to heat a bus in low temperatures, and to cool a school bus in high temperatures. So when a ticket is actually issued, the bus or truck company really has no excuse. The unnecessary exhaust represents an environmental health and noise crisis in New York City. The DEP is receiving about 50,000 idling complaints in 2022. That's twice the number of helicopter noise complaints, to put that in perspective. This is so much idling that DEP is forced to schedule hearings years out, as Hub Truck points out. DEP identified the program needs more funding, and this needs to be provided by City Council and the mayor immediately to cut back on delays. The investment will more than pay for itself and provide procedural justice. Multiple giant multi-billion-dollar corporations have each received well over 1,000 DEP idling summonses. Given the current enforcement capacity and surveillance, this likely hides millions of uncaught pollution violations by each of these mega corporations. The current penalties clearly don't deter these big companies from idling. With Intro 684, control can be achieved. Corporations will adopt electric vehicles, install auto shutoffs, provide workers with battery packs to charge cell phones, or train drivers to shut off the engines. These actions would reduce fuel consumption and engine wear and actually save the corporations money. By making unnecessary emissions expensive, companies will engage in less of it to maximize their own profit. As to Intro 606, the idling law already has tougher rules for idling in front of schools. Intro 606 simply extends those rules to parks, playgrounds, and green spaces. Children playing outdoors have no physical protection from exhaust emissions, so they must be protected by law.
Your time has expired.
New Yorkers recently overwhelmingly voted for a constitutional guarantee of clean air. By passing Intros 606 and 684, City Council will be making good on that guarantee. New Yorkers, and especially the disproportionately affected minority communities of the South Bronx and Central Brooklyn, deserve no less. I will be submitting some language suggestions for Intro 684 in writing in the nature of making some technical clarifications. Thank you.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate any kind of technical clarifications or suggestions for the legislation, actual clauses. We would greatly appreciate that. Thank you for commitment to fighting idling and all of your efforts on being on the DEP task force.
Anti-idling working group.
Yeah, working group. Thank you for that. Appreciate your testimony and get those recommendations to us. We'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next witness, Jaron Burke.
Your time will begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Gennaro and Committee on Environmental Protection. My name is Jaron Burke, and I'm the Environmental Health Manager at We Act for Environmental Justice. I have a Master of Public Health with a focus on environmental health policy and air pollution. And thank you for the opportunity to testify to this committee for the first time on a matter important to both We Act and myself. I'm here today to speak on the importance of air quality monitoring. Anyone who knows the history of air pollution in New York City should be familiar with the Great Smog Event of 1966, the culmination of many years as the most polluted city in the country. Surprisingly, the city began monitoring air quality 13 years before that in 1953, which raises the question, how did they allow air pollution to get so out of control? The answer, there's only one monitor for the whole city. Clearly not enough to capture all sources of air pollution around the city. While it's hard to understand why city officials thought one air quality monitor would be sufficient for an entire city, they realized that was insufficient after 10% of the city's population suffered adverse health effects as a result of that event. Fast forward to today, and unfortunately, the city is still learning this lesson. According to the Department of Health's Environmental Health Data Portal, the city only has 5 real-time monitors for the whole city, most of which have not been active for months. The city also does monitoring through the New York City Community Air Survey, or NICAS, but only collects data for 2 weeks at a time at each of those locations during each season. That is insufficient. While current monitoring practices may help the city capture overall trends for regulatory purposes, it doesn't help identify specific sources of pollution which need to be mitigated to improve air quality and health outcomes for overburdened communities. Mitigation is especially important given the city's history of citing polluting facilities in communities of color and low income. Because of those polluting facilities, rates of childhood asthma are higher in communities of color and low income than the citywide average. Other health impacts like cardiovascular disease are also plaguing northern Manhattan and the South Bronx due to environmental injustice. This is why We Act supports Intro 612 to require monitoring of power plant performance. We urge the council to co-sponsor and pass the bill. Peaker plants around the city emit 20 times as much nitrogen oxide per unit of electricity than regular power plants and contribute to the high rates of respiratory illness like asthma, heart disease, and cancer in our communities. Moreover, the city needs to allocate more money to meaningfully involve community-based organizations in the monitoring process and provide technical assistance to facilitate community monitoring networks. Communities should receive support to maintain air sensor networks to capture local sources of air pollution so we can mitigate them. We will provide a more detailed written testimony, and thank you again, Chair Gennaro, for allowing me to testify.
Give my best to the folks at We Act, and I gave you a little latitude here, but try to stay within the time next time. But it's great that you're with We Act, and welcome. Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. I agree with you. Best to Peggy and to everybody at We Act.
The next witness is Lonnie Parks.
Your time will begin.
I think that's me, right? Lonnie Portis.
Portis.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Gennaro and Committee on Environmental Protection.
We just had a We Act guy. We just had a We Act guy.
We get another We Act one. You get two. You get two today.
I'm glad to see you.
It's nice to see you again, and always a pleasure to provide testimony, especially on the issue of air quality. For those who don't know me, I'm Lonnie Portis, the Environmental Policy and Advocacy Coordinator at We Act for Environmental Justice. Since our beginnings, We Act has been fighting for cleaner air uptown. Residents of Northern Manhattan and South Bronx have faced greater burden of health impacts from poor air quality in comparison to other neighborhoods for decades due to past environmental, racist policies, programs, and practices. We Act urges the City Council to continue to pass legislation that reduces emissions and pollution from all sectors and also improves air quality throughout the city. The city should also equitably fund and implement strong mitigation, that was the word of the day, mitigation and monitoring efforts, prioritizing communities of color and low-income communities that are disproportionately impacted by poor air quality. We also will provide a detailed written testimony that includes all of the bills, laws, and programs that we're advocating for in relation to improving air quality throughout the city, especially in the environmental justice community, particularly Intro 470, which require building owners to end the use of number 4 fossil oil, by January 2025, ultimately banning number 4 fuel oil in 2025, 5 years earlier than currently projected, will lead to direct air quality improvements in our communities. WEAC has been advocating for speeding up this phase out for many years. But today I want to uplift and show WEAC support for Intro 279. New York City transportation emissions are second largest source of emissions after buildings, and New York City has made no visible progress on this sector. Every year, motor vehicles contribute approximately 11% of the local fine particulate matter and 28% of the nitrogen oxide emissions in New York City. Air pollution PM 2.5 from trucks contribute to 10 to 15% of all asthma emergency department visits in Central Harlem and East Harlem residents each year. Children in Harlem and South Bronx are also 10 times more likely to visit emergency department for asthma-related events triggered by poor air quality. I can move forward here. But Intro 279 requires the city to convert its entire municipal fleet to zero emissions by 2035. This bill will force progress to reduce emissions from transportation sector. It would also create a higher demand for zero emission vehicles, aiding in achieving cost parity fossil fuel powered vehicles. Additionally, WEAC strongly urges the city to deploy zero emission vehicles equitably, ensuring communities negatively impacted the most by poor air quality are prioritized by implementation. The city should also work closely with utility companies to modernize, strengthen, and green our grid as we electrify our vehicles and buildings. Again, I'm going to send you a more detailed testimony that's going to include all the other policies, programs, and laws that I was unable to address in this hearing.
Please send. And regarding the number 4 oil bill that was going to get voted out at the next stated meeting, it's not quite ready. So, but that's happening. That's like my baby, and we're going to make sure that it gets done the right way. And also, we act as part of the new Plan YC thing, right? You guys are on that, right?
I think Sonal is.
Yeah,
Sonal, I think
that.
It's part of that.
Yeah, so make sure you bring this up in that forum as well, okay?
I'm sure she will. That's also Sonal's baby too, so, making sure it gets passed.
So, thank you, Lonnie. Always good to see you.
You too.
The next witness is Michael McFadden.
Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to testify today.
Sure.
I am now, can you hear me?
Yes.
I am now, after listening to today's testimony, even more aware of just how damaging motor vehicle emissions and the unnecessary idling of vehicles is having on New York City. Children, the poor, and people of color are all disproportionately affected by this unnecessary activity. I am strongly in support of the anti-idling Intro 684 and 606. This is your opportunity to make a real, lasting, and positive change for the many by the simple act of passing these bills into law. As a member of the DEP Anti-Idling Working Group, retired member of the NYPD, and New York City resident, I have seen and experienced firsthand how changes to priorities and enforcement together can affect sought-after changes in behavior. That is what is required here. There is a culture and belief that it is simply okay to continuously run a vehicle engine while simply sitting in the vehicle or even leaving it unattended. Large truck and bus engines spewing poison into the air, all for no reason. We are only talking about unnecessary idling. Violations are issued to corporations, not individuals. Only those who idle unnecessarily have the mere risk of receiving a summons. Unnecessary idling is an epidemic, yet it is seen as a cost of doing business by many companies. By passing these 2 bills, New York City will be demonstrating its leadership and its seriousness in protecting the air that New Yorkers and indeed others breathe, and it is also doing its part to limit climate change. When New York City law was passed banning smoking from many public spaces, it wasn't the most popular proposal initially, yet it is now widely regarded as one of the most significant changes affecting public health. These 2 bills are no different. During your consideration of these bills, I simply ask you to take a few 30-minute walks around your city and its schools and parks and actually take notice of just how often and how many vehicles are unnecessarily idling. Please act now and pass these bills. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the service to DEP regarding anti-idling, and certainly thank you for your service to the NYPD. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, sir.
The next witness is Michael Streeter.
whether he would prefer the scopes to be split up into multiple cells so that I can just sign them without his need, or if we do put it all into one, he's going to have to talk to his boss basically to get approval to sign it. He said he'd actually rather do that.
Okay.
So is he available now?
Do we have a witness?
Yeah.
Michael Streeter?
What happened to Michael Streeter? Okay. We're going to skip over Michael Streeter for now, who is engaged in a private call. We'll go to the next witness.
Natasha Elder.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Natasha Elder, and I'm the regional director at NYPIRG. NYPIRG is a nonpartisan, not-for-profit research and advocacy organization. Environmental protection, public health, and civic empowerment are our principal areas of concern. Thank you, Committee Chair Gennaro and members of the committee for the opportunity to testify today. Although all of the issues being brought forth are of importance to protect the health of New Yorkers, we are specifically testifying in support of Intro 684, which would increase the civil penalty for idling infractions imposed on drivers of buses and trucks. Idling is a significant and usually unnecessary source of nitrogen oxides and particulate matter, with an estimated 130,000 tons of carbon dioxide emitted in New York City each year, leading to heart attacks, lung cancer, increased asthma-related symptoms, premature death, among other things. Idling creates air pollution, and although people of all ages are affected by it, children are particularly vulnerable, especially in communities of color. Particulate matter and nitrous oxide are more apt to be found in schools with higher enrollment of racially and ethnically marginalized children, and trucks and buses account for half of all traffic pollution-related premature deaths in Black and Hispanic communities. Generational climate justice is an issue that's also in the front and center of the students we work with. Idling wastes large amount of fossil fuels and results in significant emissions of greenhouse gases that contribute to climate change. With millions of vehicles driven in New York on a daily basis, increasing civil penalties for buses and trucks and reducing idling would result in massive reductions in fuel consumption and a significant decrease in New York's carbon footprint. Continuing to ignore these facts will hurt New Yorkers' health and our wallets as we foot the bill for disaster cleanups like Ida and Sandy. The negative effects on the health of New Yorkers and our climate as a whole has spawned creative policy solutions. New York's electric bus network has been growing, and congestion pricing continues to be another critical piece in the fight to reduce emissions and promote environmental justice practices while supporting our critical mass transit system.
Time has expired.
I'm wrapping up. We are in a climate crisis and our health is failing. Reducing the idling of hundreds of trucks and buses will better protect the public health of New Yorkers. Increasing civil penalties will bolster efforts to meet these goals. We urge the passage of Intro 684. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and God bless NYPIRG.
Thank you. The next witness is Nikki Cross. Is she
Okay,
going?
next witness.
Sam Wilson. Michael Streeter, what happened here?
Well, good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sam Wilson, and I am a senior vehicles analyst with the Union of Concerned Scientists, a national nonprofit with the goal of putting rigorous science to work in our democracy. On behalf of our nearly 500,000 supporters, thanks for the opportunity to comment in support of Intro 279 as proposed. Perhaps the most meaningful part of this critical bill is its movement on medium and heavy-duty vehicles. Trucks and buses make up over half of the city's municipal fleet, and these vehicles are by far the most polluting vehicles on the road. Even models that run on compressed natural gas, often falsely marketed as a cleaner solution, can emit significant amounts of ozone-forming nitrogen oxides and lung-damaging fine particulates in real-world operations. According to the New York City Department of Health, fine particulate emissions from trucks and buses operating in the 5 boroughs are responsible for an estimated 170 premature deaths each year in New York City. Concentrations of this deadly pollutant are nearly twice as high in areas of high poverty, and New Yorkers of color experience exposure at higher than average rates. Electrification is really the only sure way to reduce emissions from heavy-duty vehicles. And with over 130 models of electric trucks and buses available today, spanning from fire pumper trucks to Class 8 semis, these clean vehicles are ready to get to work. Swift action to electrify trucks and buses is necessary to improve New Yorkers' access to clean air and address climate change impacts for future generations. Furthermore, this bill's timeline is both technologically and economically feasible, and it actually moves slower than zero emissions heavy-duty regulations elsewhere. So for example, California's proposed Advanced Clean Fleets rule would require large municipalities to only add zero emissions trucks to their fleets beginning in 2024. So it's about 6.5 years faster than this bill. And existing California regulations require even the smallest public transit agencies in the state to purchase only zero emissions buses a full 1.5 years before this bill's ZEV requirements for the city buses begin.
Time has expired.
So in conclusion, the comparatively conservative timeline of this bill for medium and heavy-duty vehicles gives the city ample time to plan and execute this much-needed transition. Thank you for the opportunity again to comment today. I'm going to submit some more detailed comments in writing and would also be happy to meet with the committee members and staff to answer any questions. And the chair is certainly welcome to take credit for any of the great ideas I presented today. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you very much. It's a privilege to get testimony from the Union of Concerned Scientists. We really appreciate your patience being with us today, and you provided excellent testimony, which would be of great help to us. And please submit the full thing to us so we can get the full benefit of it. Thank you so much.
Okay, the next witness is Sarah Evans.
Your time will begin.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Good afternoon, thank you. My name is Sarah Evans. I'm an assistant professor of environmental medicine and public health at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. I'm speaking on behalf of the Mount Sinai Children's Environmental Health Center in support of Intro 606 and 684. We are a team of pediatricians and scientists who specialize in how the environment impacts health. We also operate an environmental pediatrics clinic where we counsel and treat New York City children who are disproportionately burdened by exposure to air pollutants and asthma. As such, we applaud all efforts of this council to improve outdoor air quality. As you've already heard, children are highly vulnerable to the harmful effects of automobile emissions, both directly through air pollutants and indirectly through climate impacts. They breathe faster than adults, so inhale more pollutants, which then penetrate deep into their lungs, enter the bloodstream, and impact multiple bodily systems to impair lung function, increase risk of learning and behavioral problems, autism, obesity and diabetes, heart attack and stroke, more severe COVID-19 outcomes, poor pregnancy outcomes, dementia, cancer, and lower life expectancy. Idling is an environmental justice issue, with low income and communities of color bearing the greatest burden of exposure to air pollutants and the highest asthma rates in the city. For example, East Harlem, a designated environmental justice area and the neighborhood in which our center is situated, has some of the highest rates of asthma ED admissions in the city at 580 per 10,000 children, compared with just 49 per 10,000 children a few blocks away in the predominantly white and wealthy Upper East Side neighborhood. Citywide, racial inequities in asthma rates in children in grades K through 8 are stark, with rates of 12.9%, 11.3%, and 5.3% for Black, Latinx, and white children respectively. These inequities place children of color in EJ areas at the highest risk for adverse health impacts from pollutants produced by idling vehicles. All New York City children deserve safe and healthy places to play. Our environmental pediatric clinic counsels families on steps that they can take at home to improve their child's asthma management, like guidance on best practices for proper administration of medication and how to eliminate asthma triggers inside the home. But we also recommend outdoor play as an essential part of a healthy childhood, yet families have little control over air quality outside of their home. By enacting and strictly enforcing the proposed legislation, the city can improve air quality in the vicinity of playgrounds, parks, and green spaces, giving most vulnerable New Yorkers access to clean air. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Now at Mount Sinai, is that where Dr. Phil Landrigan, is he still active in what he does? Is he retired or? Dr. Phil Landrigan, he's what I'm asking.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I couldn't unmute. Yes, and he is my former mentor, chair of our department, who I learned most everything I know about environmental pediatrics from, and he's now at Boston College. He is not retired.
Oh, great.
But we still have a very active department.
Please give him my best wishes.
I will, absolutely.
We know each other, and we did a lot of work together back in the day.
He's trained many of us in this work.
Back when we were younger men, put it that way, So thank you for being here, and please say hi to Phil. Appreciate everything you had to say.
And the next witness is Zach Miller.
Your time will begin.
One more. After Zach Miller, one more.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gennaro. My name is Zach Miller, and I am the Metro Region Operations Manager for the Trucking Association of New York. I testify today regarding Intro 684. Currently, we are experiencing significant challenges with the Citizen Idling Complaint Program. While we support the need to curb emissions from idling vehicles, the program, as designed, has created a host of challenges for both the industry and, as we learned through encouraging conversations with DEP, the agency as well, that must be addressed before a new fine schedule is created. Issues of due process and the timing of summonses, the lack of notification to drivers or registered owners during the service of a summons, the absence of information and evidence provided on a summons, and the inability to transfer liability for leasing companies are just a few of the problems. To elaborate, we've seen complaints received anywhere from 6 to 12 months, sometimes more, after the complaint, which threatens due process because it interferes with preparation of a defense. The service of a summons is supposed to be upon either the driver or the registered owner, but many go directly to the Secretary of State without any notification, leaving the owner uninformed and unable to defend themselves. There is lack of information or evidence provided on summonses and accessible to defense. There is no mechanism for respondents to request and view the evidence that has been filed against them with sufficient time to decide whether they wish to settle or pay the summons. We ask the Council to consider amending the oath rules and the New York Business Corporation law to ensure proper summons notice to relevant parties. Further, the system has created a cottage industry for well-off individuals to earn a nice side hustle while utterly failing to curb emissions from idling. Increasing fines allowing individuals to earn more money will only exacerbate the backlog at DEP while draining trucking companies of vital funds to make clean investments. It is curious that citizens are giving 25% of a fine, but there is no revenue that goes to a fund for fleets to access in order to purchase zero-emission vehicles or clean technology. Tanny stands in support of DEP's mission of providing cleaner, more sustainable future and environment to our city and its residents. That is why a number of Tanny members have pivoted towards purchasing certified clean idle trucks to carry out the necessary work, while also working to maintain their carbon footprint. However, these cleaner trucks are held to the same standards as older trucks that do not have diesel particulate filters installed, also known as DPF technology. We urge the Council to consider treating certified clean idle trucks differently in this program, as the state of California does, since it provides more fairness to truck owners who are minimizing their environmental impact while simultaneously encouraging owners of older trucks to upgrade such vehicle types. As always, the Trucking Association of New York looks forward to ongoing collaboration and dialogue with the City Council, the Department of Environmental Protections, and the City of New York. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and please make sure to submit your full testimony. We want to make sure that the Trucking Association, when we negotiate the bill, has all of its concerns duly considered.
Absolutely, and I already submitted it, and there are also a couple of issues that you raised today, which I'd like to talk about the truck routes and the problems with the Hunts Point program. So yeah, we'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah, so it'd be important for the Trucking Association to be involved in these discussions.
Absolutely,
I'm not the author of the bill, but I'm the chair of the committee, and I will make sure that that happens. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. You bet.
And the final witness, Sobil Chatterjee.
Your time will begin.
Hello, my name is Sovik Chatterjee, and I just wanted to say the streets of New York City are disgusting. The air quality is terrible, and I can't even walk around with it in a safe manner. I need to walk around with a mask, and I think everyone should be wearing a mask to avoid air pollution. However, wearing masks 24/7, as the pandemic showed, is not a practical solution. So the government really needs to step up and start passing more rigorous legislation like those before us today. These intros will hardly impact economic activity, and that is really the question, how much you want to lower economic activity for the health of people in New York City. Air pollution kills 10 million people a year, possibly. That is 1 death in every 5 deaths globally. According to WHO guidelines, 97.3% of people breathe air that is considered unhealthy. Those statistics are alarming and off the chart. Air pollution in the form of car exhaust contains nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, benzene, which is linked with leukemia. The American Lung Association publishes lots of information about these chemicals and what they can do to the human body and how they can interact with other chemicals in the air to have more complex effects on the human body. These chemicals get trapped in the lungs. If they're small enough, they go right into the bloodstream. So they really do impair the human body in several ways. They can increase infant mortality. They can affect pregnant women. Lung cancer survivors are in particularly endangered. People with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD. Obviously, people with asthma, it can cause asthma. It can lower lung function in children. It can increase rates of diabetes, strokes, heart attacks, other cardiovascular problems, and of course, deaths. And these are deaths that wouldn't otherwise happen if there wasn't air pollution. So to mitigate air pollution, a low-hanging fruit is to reduce idling as much as humanly possible.
Thank you.
I think these bills do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your good testimony. Thank you very much. What's that?
That's it. Okay.
Okay. This hearing is hereby adjourned.